Hi friends, and welcome back to Rustic and Lace DIY. Well, we are getting close to the end of July, and you know what that means? Fall DIYs are starting soon. So I thought I would put together a video with some of my past fall DIYs, some of the best ones, and maybe some that weren't so best, but that I thought maybe be worth showing again. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you're enjoying this summer. So with all that, let's get on with the video. DIY number 2. So for this DIY, I'm going to use these beautiful napkins from Dollar Tree. I got these, I think, last year. And then this one I got from Dollar Tree too. It just coordinates with that other one. 3 of these leaf little, I don't know what you call them, plaques. I don't know. I got these from Dollar Tree, I believe last year. And then these I got from Hobby Lobby after 4th of July. I think it might have been last year. It might have been this year, but it was like 90% off. And then if you didn't have those or some shadow box like those, you could always use these. I think are 18-inch wood sticks from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paint in the color Ivory, and then 4 of these little candle holders from Dollar Tree. So I'm going to start off by removing all that paper just like that. I wish it was that easy. And then I painted the leaves and the insides of those signs with my Ivory color. Once they were all dry, I went and covered all the leaves on the front with my Mod Podge, and then I just went along the inside of those signs with the Mod Podge as well, and then I just set it aside and let them dry, which will be any moment here. And then once they were all dry, I'm going to take these napkins and I'm going to cut them around. I took 2 of these napkins, actually one. I think one was big enough to fit on both of those 2 leaves. And then I fussy cut the word thank you or thankful from the bigger napkin. And then I just took a couple of those leaves from the other napkin here and cut them out. And then I am just kind of laying them where I want them. And I have my word thankful laying where I want it, but I had to put my scissor holder cover thing on top of it because my fan was blowing it around. Then I took my parchment paper, this just regular kitchen parchment paper, put it on top of my napkin, used my heat press to reactivate that Mod Podge. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the other 2 leaves that have the bigger piece of napkin. I'm just using my heat press again to activate it. You can use an iron as long as it doesn't have any steam setting on it. Once I was done with all that, I went ahead and went over all of the napkins with my Mod Podge. Now on the sides, I didn't show this. I just cut out some rectangle pieces of another napkin of this style and Mod Podge them inside of my signs just like I'm doing here. Once that was all dry, I took my little lighter here. I figured this would be easier than trying to cut it all and sand it all, and I'm just burning off that excess. You just want to be really careful when you do that. Then I just went around and sanded off all the little bits that were sitting there that looked charred. Now I decided after that I wanted to go ahead and paint the stems with my antique wax. And I liked that so much that I actually ended up painting all around the edge, the outside edge of those leaves with my antique wax. Then I also took that wax and I'm going to use it to go all the way around the inside, and the outside, my whole frame, the outside and inside part of my frame. I just wanted to darken it up some. I thought it looked nicer being a little bit darker. So I do this to both my frames. I just brush on the wax and wipe off the extra. Once I was done with that, I took this Type Bond all-purpose glue. I really like this stuff. And I'm using hot glue as well. It bonds within 15 minutes and and it's so thick and I don't know, I just loved it. So I just clamped it together for, I don't even know, maybe 5 minutes at the most, and then removed those clamps and it was perfect. after that, I took my leaves, I sat them where I wanted them, and then I'm just using my pencil on the back to mark where they meet the back of my sign, so that way I knew where to put my glue. So I'm just using that tight bond there, and then I'm using the hot glue on the bottom. So that way the tight bond is holding it up against the frame, and then the hot glue is bringing it down onto the top part of the frame. And then I'm just going to do that with each one of these leaves. And once I have it all done, which will be as soon as I finish this one, and as you can tell there, you can see where I painted the edges. I took these glass votive candle holders, and I'm just putting a little dab of hot glue in the back and the front, and then I wrapped twine around it about 4 times, and then just glued the little end down there with just a little dab of hot glue. And then I'm just going to make a regular shoestring bow, and I'm going to put that right on the front. And I did that with each one of my candle holders, and then I just put some LED candles in it, and that's all there was for this. I think this came out so adorable. You have to let me know what you think about this as well. Okay, here's DIY and number 3. So I'm going to use some of these giant craft sticks from Walmart. I'm going to use these wood pieces. I got these a couple of years ago at Christmas time from Hobby Lobby when they were on sale. These are leaves from Amazon. And then I am going to use 2 of these boards from Dollar Tree. I'm going to start off by laying those 2 boards side by side, and then taking my wood glue and my hot glue and just gluing them all together, just like you see right there. After that, I'm taking my heat gun and I am melting the glue. There's like not Velcro, felt behind those sticks, so I'm just melting the glue behind the felt, so that way I can just wipe it off, and you can see it just comes right off just like that. But it was very sticky. You can see it was sticking to my paint scraper there. And then I'm just going to use my tight bond glue here again, and I'm just going to go through and glue all of these right in the middle of my 2 signs, right where they connect. And again, this takes only like 15 minutes to set, so you can see it moved there, but that's okay. I knew that was going to be, once I had these all on there, they were not going to move anymore, because what I was going to do next was not going to involve moving those sticks. So I'm going to start off by taking some of these leaves, and I'm just going to start hot gluing them all around. Now, these leaves, I got these like 2 years ago, right after I started my channel, and I got them from Amazon. There's like 500 in a case. I don't remember if I have them in my Amazon store. I'll try and look and see. If not, I'll try and see if they still have them. But this has lasted me this 2 years, and I still have a lot more. And they have 2 different well, they had 3 different kinds in there. They had bigger ones, which are the ones that I'm working with now, and then some smaller ones, and then they had some a little bit bigger that actually had a little bit of a stem on them, and those were really cool looking too. But if you don't have these, of course, you could always use leaves from Dollar Tree. That would be great too, just whatever leaves you have on hand or fine. You could even, if you are lucky enough to live somewhere that has beautiful leaves in the fall, you could pick them, dip them in wax, or however that works, and use them as well. That would be really pretty too. So as you can see, I had the top part all filled, and I decided to hot glue some so it looks like they're falling. I kind of wish I would have had a little bit smaller ones for this, but these were the smaller ones. Yeah, it still looks good. And then after that, I decided to go ahead and start adding some more all around the bottom part of my tree, so it looks like there's a pile of leaves going all around the bottom part of my tree. And so I'm just gonna go around the bottom and fill it all up. I did a few, I went all the way around down there on a single layer, and then I just added a few more. I didn't do a ton, but you could, it's all up to what you like. You could put as much leaves as you wanted. Then I decided to go ahead and have some leaves falling on the other side too, but I kind of wish I would have just stuck to one side. But it is what it is, but I still love it. And I figure since we don't really get a lot of color on our trees here, that since I can't enjoy it, I might as well just make my own, right? Then I took some more of these beads. Now these beads also had some little leaf beads, which I thought was really cool. So I added some of them to my hanger as well. But this is just like the very first one. I'm just stringing them through. I put tape on the end of my twine so that it's easier to poke through my beads. Now the leaves, it was a little harder to get them to come through, so I had to use my needle nose pliers there to get the twine through, and then I just tied knots through the holes, and there it is, my little leaf tree. You'll have to let me know what you think about this one as well, and do you think it's something you might make? It's really easy and really didn't take that much time at all. Okay, here's DIY number 1. So for this DIY, I'm going to use this Rust-Oleum 2x flat black spray paint. I'm going to use some different sunflowers and fall leaves. All of these came from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use, this is part of a plunger handle that I had cut down from a plunger a while back. And then one of these plastic rakes from Dollar Tree. So I removed that tag, and then I took my sanding sponge here, and I am just doing a little sanding all over the rake. I did end up using some regular sanding paper because that sponge was a little hard to get in between, but I just wanted to make sure that I roughed it up some for the spray painting. Then I took this Titebond glue here, and I'm filling up that hole, and then I'm just going to place my plunger handle in there. I let it wait for about 15 minutes, and then I just went in and covered the top part with some hot glue. After that, I went out and I spray painted the front and the back with that spray paint. Once it was all dry, I decided, you know what, I want this to be blue. I don't want this to be black. So I went ahead and painted this with my Waverly chalk paint in the color Ocean. Once I had it all done, I took a pocket that I had cut off of some jeans that I had recently bought from a thrift store, and I added some floral foam in it. And then as you can see, I did hot glue that floral foam to the inside of the pocket. Then I'm just going to add my sunflowers, my different sunflowers here. Just poking it through the floral foam and just kind of arranging the sunflowers however I liked them. Then I went ahead and went in and added some of these fall leaves to just kind of match with the decor that we're doing here. And then once I had them all in place and where I liked them, I'm going to take my Beacon Fabri-Tac glue. You guys, I love this stuff. It adheres really quickly, and it bonds to all kinds of different materials and surfaces. So I used that and some hot glue to glue that pocket along the front part of the rake. After that, I took some of this ribbon. I think I might have got this at Walmart. I don't know. I've had it in my stash for a while. It's a denim. It actually feels denim. I made a bow by doing the awareness ribbon and scrunching it up. And then here I'm just adding some raffia to the front of that bow. And then I took some jute twine here, and I'm just going to tie a knot around the raffia and the bow. And then I had this bow that I had made a few weeks ago that I ended up not using, and I'm just going to add that in front. And then I took some of this orange gingham ribbon from Dollar Tree, making another bow, doing the awareness ribbon and scrunching it up, excuse me, in the middle, and then going to use the rest of that twine to tie around those ribbons, to tie them in place and to keep them all in the shape of a bow. And then I'm going to tie knots, or tie a couple of knots here in the back. And then I'm just going to give that raffia a little bit of a haircut so it's not so crazy. And then I did go around and dovetail the ends of my ribbons, just like you see me doing right there. After that, I took some floral wire and I folded it in half, and I'm just pushing it through the back of that bow where that twine was covering it, or twine had tied around it, and I'm just using that wire to connect it to that handle of the rake. After that, I had previously drilled a hole in that dowel, and then I added a hanger, and there it is. I really love how this came out. I love blue and sunflowers, and denim and sunflowers especially, so I really wanted to make this a denim and sunflower video, and I hope you like it. Here's DIY number 2. So this DIY, I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paint in the color Ocean. I'm going to use some of these pip berries I got from Dollar Tree. These are some sunflower stickers I recently got from Hobby Lobby. 4 tumbling tower blocks from Dollar Tree. This little wood stem that came from Dollar Tree. It came in a bag of them. Then I'm going to use one of these tags that I got from Hobby Lobby. And then I'm going to use some more fabric or denim that came where the pocket came from. And then this plaque I got from Goodwill for 99 cents. It did say it came from Walmart, but you can also use the plaques from Dollar Tree. So I'm going to paint the back side of that plaque and the sides with my ocean color there. And then I cut down some of the denim, and I'm just hot gluing the side to it. And then after that, I'm going to take some of my Aleene's tacky glue, and I'm just going to put it all over the front of my plaque here. Just going to lay it all around, and then I'm going to flip that denim and stretch it out so that's nice and tight looking. Then I'm going to go ahead with my hot glue, and I'm going to glue all the sides together. And just like you see me doing here, I did trim off all the excess of that denim as well. Then once it was done, I decided to go along that top ridge that was on that wood plaque with some jute cord that I get from Amazon. And I'm just going to go around and hot glue that all the way around because I wanted this just to give it a little more depth. And yeah, I love the way this came out, you guys. I really, really do. So I'm just going to hot glue it all the way around that plaque. And then after I'm all done with it, I'm just going to finish this here. I am going to take some more of that braided jute cord from Amazon, and I'm going to hot glue it in the front of this pumpkin. And this is just to kind of give it that you know how pumpkins have grooves, so that's what this is representing. And then I'm just going to come up again on the other side and just trying to make it look as even as possible. That was kind of hard though, with just kind of had to eyeball it and hope for the best. And then after that, I trimmed it off, and then I took my hot glue. Now you don't have to use hot glue. If you want to use something more permanent, you can do that. This was my last project. I was getting tired, and I settled for hot glue. And I'm just going to hot glue all of those little stickers all along the bottom corner there. Then I'm going to hot glue that stem right up on the top. Then I decided I didn't like, before I did that, I added the 2 tumbling tower blocks. I glued them to the bottom of my plaque, and then I added the other 2 to the top of those 2, just like you see me doing right there. That way it gives it enough depth that it would stand. After that, I took this pip berry, I cut some down, and I'm wrapping one end around my brush about 6 times, and then I'm wrapping the other end around my paintbrush handle another 6 times, and then of course I'll cut it off. And then I'm just going to wrap it around my stem that's at the top there. And I wrap it around, and you could glue it if you want. I don't know why I didn't, but instead of gluing it, I just kind of wrapped the 2, I'm going to wrap the 2 little pieces there together just to kind of twist them together. And then I just went and positioned them the way I liked them. After that, I took that little tag. I'm just going to lay it on top or over the peduncle. I think is how you say it. And then I am going to take some leaves. These came from some sunflower picks that I had from the first DIY, and I just cut off some of the leaves there, and I'm just going to hot glue them to the top, and then I'm going to hot glue that little sunflower right there in place as well. And then I decide to go ahead and hot glue that tag on just to keep that in place too. And once I was done with that, I decided to add a few more of those leaves down to the bottom sunflowers. I thought it just made it look more like flowers and less like stickers. And I went around and hot glued them on all of the sunflowers that were on the bottom. This is where I decided I didn't like that you could see the edge of the denim from the front. So I went ahead and grabbed some more of this braided jute cord and went around the edge along the back side of my plaque, just like you see me doing right there. And then I'm going to do the other side as well and bring it all the way up to the top, to the peduncle. And then that word is so funny. I just love saying it. And there it is. I love how this came out. You'll have to let me know what you think about this one as well. And do you love denim and sunflowers like I do? I don't know. I just love it. Okay, here's DIY number 1. So for this DIY, I'm going to use this stencil from makersstudio.com. And then I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paint in the color white and my Waverly antique wax. I'm also going to use my Chalkateur chalk paste in the colors rust and black velvet. And then I'm going to use this wood pumpkin that I got from Dollar Tree last year, but I'm sure they still have them this year. 5 1-gallon paint stir sticks, and then 7 5-gallon paint stir sticks. And I get those from Amazon. So I'm going to start off by taking some spackling and filling in that hole on that pumpkin, and then I painted the pumpkin white and the stem of the pumpkin with my antique wax. After it was all dry, I took this stencil. It is one of the adhesive type, and I fuzzed it because I didn't want it to pull up my paint when I am removing it. And then I'm going to go over the word pumpkin farm and the pumpkin that's on the back of that truck with that rust color. And as you can see, I did add some painter's tape there so that I wouldn't get the rust color on the truck. And then I'm going to lift up my stencil here, my adhesive stencil, until it got to the pumpkin. And then I just made sure that around the truck was sealed again. And then I went over the truck with my black chalk paste. And then I'm going to go over the words on the bottom, the local, organic, and fresh with black. I was originally going to do them in orange. And I forgot. So I ended up doing those. And then I'm going to lift these up just like I did before. That way the paste doesn't stick to the words, once it dries. And then I covered the bottom words with the orange or the rust color. And then I'm going to take my little measuring tape here. I'm just kind of measuring, making sure that it was even. I made lines on both sides of my paint stick. I did this on the top and the bottom of these sticks. And I'm using my, Type Bond glue and hot glue to attach my 1-gallon sticks on the top and the bottom. Then I turned them around and I did the same thing on the back, but this time I added one in the middle as well, but I do the top and bottom just like the front. Then I'm going to paint all of that with my white chalk paint. Then I'm going to go around and do some distressing with my antique wax, and I'm going to do the same on my pumpkin, just a light distressing. If you don't like distressing, you can always skip that part. And then I'm going to use my Type Bond glue again here and hot glue. I did kind of draw out or trace out my pumpkin so I knew where to put them. And then I added my sign. Then I'm just going to add a little bit of hot glue underneath my pumpkin here, and I'm just going to add some Spanish moss. I took one of these styrofoam pumpkins from Dollar Tree, and I'm just cutting it in half. I probably need a sharper blade, but once I got it pretty much cut, I'm just going to kind of easily tear it apart, and then I'm going to glue each half down on the ends of that Spanish moss. Then I turned it around and I hot glued a piece of this ribbon. I got this from Hobby Lobby. And I'm just weaving it inside and out those 5-gallon paint stir sticks on the top there. And then I'm just going to glue that into the back. And then I took this ribbon. This ribbon I got recently from Walmart. I just thought it was beautiful. I'm going to make a bow by making the awareness ribbon, scrunching it up, and then I'm going to add the orange bow in front of the plaid bow and tie them together with some jute twine. And then after that, I did dovetail the ends. If you don't know how to dovetail, you just fold the ends in half and cut at a diagonal. Then I took a whole bunch of raffia here. I'm just, and I'm tying them to the back of those bows. And then I just did a little haircut on them. And then I made another little bit of raffia, tied it together, hot glued it above the pumpkin. Now I'm just using a zip tie. I put it behind my bow, and then I'm just wrapping it around the middle stir stick, 5-gallon paint stick, and I tighten it there. And then I just went and added some sunflowers around it, and then I just took some twine, wrapped it around the middle stick there underneath the gallon stir stick, and then I'm just going to kind of hot glue the ends to the, I don't know, I just kind of hot glued it a little bit in place so it didn't move around. And there it is. I love that stencil. I think it is so pretty. You have to let me know what you think about this in the comment box below. Okay, here's DIY number 2. So for this DIY, I'm going to use one of these boxes. I'm just going to use the inner box of that. And then I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paints in the color pumpkin and agave. I'm going to use some assorted flowers from Dollar Tree. And then I'm going to use these scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby. And then these 2 wood pumpkins I had in my stash from Dollar Tree, but I'm pretty sure they still have them. So I'm going to use my heat gun here to remove those bows. Then I'm taking my paper and I'm just using my fingers to crease the middle part of this pumpkin, just like you see me there. I'm just going around the paper and that middle part of the pumpkin. Then I'm just going to cut it all out, and I do this with the other paper for the other pumpkin as well. I love this paper. I don't know. I love it. After that, I went ahead and filled the holes of the pumpkins with my spackling, and then I painted them white. And I also painted the raised areas of the pumpkins. On one pumpkin, it was orange. The other pumpkin I painted with the agave. I did not paint the middle because I know I was going to put the paper on there. Actually, I painted it white, but I didn't put the orange on it. But after I was done, I was like, oh, this is too white. I don't really like it. So I decided to take my antique wax, and I'm just going to go over the white, just like you see me here. I do all of it, just go over all of it with my antique wax. And then I wasn't even trying to be careful because I liked having some of that along the orange and the agave, because it just gives it that rustic look. But I was just wiping off all the extra there, and then I took my Mod Podge and I went around the middle raised area of both pumpkins with my Mod Podge, and then I laid the paper down, and then I'm going to go over the paper with the Mod Podge again. That way it just protects that paper so that it doesn't rip. And then I just set it aside to dry, and once it was dry, I took my wood glue here and that inner part of the box, and I'm just going to glue it to the back side of that first pumpkin, and then I'm going to add more wood glue and hot glue, and I'm going to add that to the front of the other pumpkin, just like that. Now it has a little vase in there. So I took 2 pieces of floral foam, hot glued them together, and stuck them inside my little box or my little crate. And then I'm just going to take some of these flowers and put them all inside. Now I kind of wish I would have had a little bit taller flowers, but I still think it looks really cute. I can go back and add some. I might add some that are a little bit taller. That kind of helps you see it a little bit better, but that's all there was for this. I thought it was really cute. I don't know, kind of a fun idea. I think I kind of got this idea from something at Walmart that I saw. But yeah, I think it might have been nicer if I had a little smaller box, but that's what I had. So you have to let me know what you think about this one as well in the comment box below. Okay, here's DIY number 1. So for this DIY, I'm going to use this decal I got from Cricut Design Space. One of these pumpkins I had on hand, but you could use any pumpkin shape. And then I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paints in the color celery, in the color pumpkin, plaster, and then my metallic in rich espresso, some burlap from Dollar Tree, and then 2 of these awesome signs that I got from Dollar Tree as well. So I'm going to start off by removing those pumpkins and keeping them aside for later. And then I'm going to rip off all the paper. Now you guys, this one, it didn't come off as easy, but that second one, I wish I would have recorded it because it was so smooth. It just all came off on once. It was amazing. But once I had all the paper off, then I spritzed it down, both of them, with water and let them wait about 5 minutes. And then I took my paint scraper here and just scrape off that extra layer of paper and glue. And then after that, I just sprayed it all down. I did that with that pumpkin too. And I sprayed them all down with my Goo Gun and just wiped off any excess glue that might have been sticking on there. Then I laid them bottom to bottom, as you see there. I took some giant craft sticks. I cut 2 of them. I cut the rounded part down so that they would fit on that smaller ends. And then I'm going to use my Tight Bond multi-surface glue and hot glue to attach those craft sticks to the back, and then that way it makes those 2 signs become 1 sign. And I actually I got this idea when I saw these signs, and then I was talking to Kathy Jo, and she was like, I'm going to put these 2 signs together, and I just laughed. I'm like, yeah, that's what I was going to do too. So you're going to see something that she does soon that's similar. So as you can see there, I painted the sign white, and I painted the pumpkin with my pumpkin color. Here I am just taking my ruler and I am marking about 3/4 inch from the edge, just kind of little lines here and there, so that way when I laid out my painter's tape I would know exactly where to lay it, and then it would be all even, or at least real close to being the same size, because I want to make that a border. I really loved the way they had the border on that paper. Everything else, you know, was just kind of okay. Of course, you know, they have to add glitter to their stuff, but so I wanted to redo it. So I'm going to add my celery all around as a border on that sign. So here I'm taking my decal and I'm just placing it on my pumpkin. I did paint the stem of that pumpkin, or the peduncle, with that rich espresso color. And then after that, I took some of that burlap. I cut it down to fit along the middle of the front of my sign, and I'm just hot gluing the ends to the back of my sign. Then I'm taking that Tight Bond again, and I'm going to put it all around the back of my pumpkin, and then I'm going to add some hot glue as well, just like you see me doing right here. And then we're going to attach this pumpkin right to the front of my sign, just like that. After that, I took some of this Fabri-Tac by Beacon. It's glue. I got that at Walmart, and I'm going to use some hot glue, and I'm going to attach those little pumpkins that we took off of the signs, one on each end of that pumpkin. And then I took some lamb's ear here, and I'm just using some hot glue to attach them to the side of my peduncle. You could do whatever you wanted if you want to recreate this. I just kind of wanted to make this a little simple. You guys, I just love the way this came out. And I took some of these stickers you get from Dollar Tree, and I put one right on the bottom. It felt like it needed something there. And then I'm making a finger bow real slowly. I'm making a quadruple bow, so I'm just wrapping my fingers 4 times. I'm taking that end, wrapping it around the loops that are on my fingers, and then coming back around and going through that loop that I just created. I slow that way down so that you guys can see. It is kind of hard for me to explain. I hope my explanation helps you guys. Then once I tightened it, I cut down the legs and glued it on the peduncle, or the pumpkin stem. I took the hanger that came off of one of those, I threaded it through with my tapestry needle, and I tied double knots on the back to make sure it didn't go through the hole that's on the sign. And then that's all there was. I absolutely love how this came out. I think it is just so pretty, and just, I don't know, it looks like you could buy it from the store. You have to let me know what you think about this one in the comment box below. Here is DIY number 2, another one I absolutely love. Okay, so I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paints in the color pumpkin and in the color moss. I'm going to use this folk art acrylic paint. It is in the color True Burgundy. I'm going to use some of this beautiful fabric from Dollar Tree. This is a stencil I got from Amazon last year. It is in my Amazon store if you're interested in getting it. It comes with, I think, like 8 different stencils. One of these, I think these are like 8-inch rounds. I got those from Hobby Lobby. One of these wood rings, they're actually MDF rings from Dollar Tree. And then this, I believe, is like a 10 or 11-inch wood round that you get from Dollar Tree. So I'm going to start off by painting one side of each of those rounds plaster, and then I painted the ring, the hoop, with that burgundy color. Once they were all dry, I took my fabric Mod Podge. This is really thick, so it really hangs on to that fabric. I am just going over the non-painted side of my round, and then once I got that all on there, I'm taking my material and just kind of pulling and straightening to make sure there's no wrinkles in it. And I don't know why I didn't cut it out to begin with, but after that I just trimmed off all the excess. I would recommend cutting it down before you put it on there. I don't know why I did it the way I did. But anyways, after it was all trimmed down, I just took my regular Mod Podge because that thick fabric Mod Podge can take forever to dry, and I didn't want to wait forever. So I just used my regular Mod Podge and went over that fabric. And that just puts an extra layer of protection. So I'm just taking that True Burgundy and I am going over the word blessed with my stencil brush. As you can see, I added painter's tape all around so that I wouldn't get the burgundy inside of the pumpkin lines. And so once I have this all onto the words, then I will remove the painter tape there, and I will use a very small paintbrush to go over the pumpkin lines. I thought about drawing my blessed word and then covering it with tape so I could do the pumpkin, but I thought, you know what, I'm just going to try it with a small paintbrush and see how it works. And it actually came out really good. I was really surprised. In fact, I think it had more bleeding on the word than on the pumpkin itself, but I was able to fix the little bit of bleeding I had on the word. But I really love the way this came out. It's so pretty. And I had a subscriber, I can't remember who it was, but told me that she used this True Burgundy, and so I thought, well, I'm going to try it, and yeah, I love it. So I'm going to use my little Cricut weeding tool there to poke holes in that fabric where the hanger goes, and then I'm going to add my Titebond and my hot glue on the back of that smaller round that has the stencil on it, and I'm going to add that right to the middle of my bigger round with the fabric. And then I am going to add some of my Titebond glue and my hot glue, and I'm going around the back side of this ring, and then I'm going to add that right on top of the round so it looks like a frame. I love this. When I put this together, oh, I thought I was brilliant. anyways, I took 3 plain colored beads that I had, and these are just wood beads from Amazon. I'm taking some of that moss, and I put those beads on painter's tape to hold them in place, and then I'm just painting all around with my moss color. Then I'll turn the tape around, because I always, if I don't do that, I always end up missing some part on the other side. And then I dry it, and once it's dry, I turn those beads over and paint the top side of the bottom, or the bottom side anyways. Once they were all dry, I took some of these beads, the rest of the colored beads here I got from Amazon. They are in my Amazon store as well. And I just put them through a hanger that I had, and I'm just adding that hanger back to my wood around here. And then I took some raffia, and I'm just going to make a bow with it. And it can be a little tricky, not too bad, but I just make a little bow with it here. I love how this came out. Oh, you guys, I just love this one. Anyways, I'm going to trim it off. I'm going to cut it all down. And I don't remember where I got this. I've had this in my stash for quite a few years, but you know, you can always get it at Dollar Tree, or Walmart has it, Hobby Lobby. And there it is. I absolutely love how this came out. Oh my goodness. You have to let me know what you think about this one as well. Okay, here's DIY number 1. So for this DIY, I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paints in the color Plaster and Pumpkin. I'm going to use this DIY paint called Apothecary. I got this from Sammy with Unicorn Dust Designs. And then I created these decals with my Cricut. And then I'm going to use 3 of these large, like, cutting board signs from Dollar Tree. So I start off by removing the little pie cutout that's on the top of each one, and then just trying to pull off the paper. And oh my gosh, this one was really hard to get any kinds of paper to pull up. It took me a while to get it up. As you can see, I was really struggling. But then the glue, I don't know if they've got better glue or what, but I ended up just using my little Cricut spatula here and just kind of scratched and scratched until I was able to pull it all up. Then I sprayed it down with my water, and I did this in all 3. I spritzed it all down with water, let it sit for about 5 minutes, and then I took my paint scraper here and just removed the extra backing of the paper with the glue. And then I did use some Goo Gone and a paper towel to get it all off. After that, I measured 2 of the boards. I measured one at 17 inches here, and I'm just going to draw a line across. And the next one I measured at 14 inches and then drew a line. And then I'm going to take an X-Acto knife. No, not X-Acto, my box cutter, and I am just scoring it. And I don't know, I had to score it quite a bit. As you can see, I kept kind of playing with it, but once it was almost all the way through, then it would break pretty easily, and you'll see that here in just a moment. There, see, it snapped, and I just kind of trimmed off the little excess that it left. And then once I was done with that, I painted the longer one with my plaster, the medium-sized one with pumpkin, and then the smaller one with the Apothecary. Now, if you don't have the DIY paint, you could always substitute it for celery or agave with Waverly. So then after they were all dry, I took Waverly in the color Elephant, and I just did some distressing over all of the pumpkins. And then I am taking my first decal here, and I'm adding it to the medium-sized pumpkin. These are pumpkins, in case you didn't notice. And then I'm taking the other words here and putting it on the smaller pumpkin. And once I had those all on, then I laid them out the way I wanted them. And I'm taking a pencil here and just kind of marking and tracing out where they're going to lay, so that way I know where to put my glue and then where to place those back on. So here I'm just using my Titebond multi-purpose glue on the both areas where I marked, and then I went over it with my hot glue as well. and I'm just going to add my pumpkins together. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Now, for this project, this is a hanging project, but you could always add like tumbling tower blocks or something if you wanted this to be a standing item. I thought about doing it that way and I changed my mind at the last minute. So I took some of this ribbon. Both these ribbons came from Hobby Lobby. I got them as they were 40% off. I made bows doing the awareness ribbon, scrunching them up in the middle, attaching the two, and then wrapping some twine around them. Then I'm just going to dovetail the ends by folding the end together and cutting at an angle. And then I'm just going to hot glue it right to the top of that white pumpkin. After that, I'm going to make a finger bow. I'm just going to wrap my fingers with that twine about 4 times. This is a quadruple finger bow. And then you want to cut off an extra long tail there and then come up and wrap it around those loops over your fingers. Come right back around and go through that loop that you just created and then pull tight. After that, I made 2 of those. Then I took some of these leaves. I got these from Amazon a couple years ago. It comes in a pack of 500 and they have lasted me forever. And I hot glued them on the orange and green pumpkin and then added those finger bows and then added a hanger. And there it is. Oh, I added some little pumpkins. These are wood pumpkins on sticks from Hobby Lobby to cover the holes of that were on the top of those. And I just love how this turned out. You have to let me know what you think about this one. Okay, here's DIY number 2. Aren't they cute? I am going to use my Waverly chalk paint in the color Cashew. I'm going to use some of my paint markers. I'm going to use 2 of these small candy jars from Dollar Tree. Now they have bigger ones and they have the smaller ones. These are the smaller ones. I'm going to use some burlap that I have had in my stash. I think I got it from Hobby Lobby in their clearance section. And then some wheat picks and sunflower picks from Dollar Tree. So I'm going to start off by removing all the little stickers that are on each one of these jars, and they're pretty easy to take off. Then I took the top piece off of the lid, and then I'm cutting that piece with some pruning shears, and then I just placed it. I'm going to place it on the bottom of my candy jar. I'm using Fix-All glue from Dollar Tree and hot glue, and just laying it right on the bottom. Then I painted both of those with my cashew color. And then once they were dry, I took my pencil and I'm just drawing out a face. And I do this on both of them. Now I use a pencil because I'm not great at drawing. And so as you can see here, I had to kind of erase some areas. So that's why I use the pencil. And then I make a nose, and then I'm going to make a big old smile. And see here again, I'm like, oh no, I don't want it straight across. I want it to be a little more up. So then I took my markers and I am painting in all of what I just drew. So I'm coloring in the eyes with my black, and my black was not wanting to work. So I kept having to dab it. But anyways, after I had that done, I took this, I went over the mouth here. This marker has a fine point and a medium point, so I switched it over to the fine to go around the nose area, and that was the fine was really giving me problems. I think it must be drying out. Then I took my Arteza marker in the color, I don't know, bright orange or something, and I'm coloring in the nose. Then I took my markers again, and I decided to make little eyelashes for the female, because one's a boy, one's a girl. Then I'm going to color in, I guess I'm going to make little lines across the mouths first. Then I took my white marker and I colored in just some little areas on the bottom and then little dots on the top. I took a pink color marker and I'm just coloring in some cheeks for the female. I did not do this for the male. Then I took one of these hula skirts from Dollar Tree and I cut it down to where there was like 3 strands. You can tell there's 3 separate strands that have like 2 or 3 strands on each set. And I'm just taking them and I am just going to braid, and I make 2 braids. And once I had it all braided, I used some twine to keep that tied in place. And I was just measuring there, making sure it was the right length. Decided I needed to cut it up a little bit more, make it a little shorter. And then I am going to just trim off that excess, and I just kind of unravel the bottom part there. I made 2, and then I'm just going to hot glue them, 1 on each side. And then I took some more of that hula skirt pieces that I cut off, and I'm just going around the front, hot gluing it. I probably should have made it a little thicker. It's kind of hard to see. It doesn't stand out as much, but you know what? I still love it. I trimmed it down so it had bangs, and then I went ahead and added some more, just going all the way to the braids. Now on the male, I didn't add braids, of course, but I did just cut some or add some of the hula skirt around for bangs. Then I took some of my burlap here, and I'm just wrapping it around the lid area where the lid would go on these candy jars, just kind of going all the way around, also so you don't see the top parts of the hula skirt. And then I'm going to hot glue that together. And then I made a little bow, just a regular shoestring bow, and out of this ribbon from Dollar Tree, put it on the head of the female, and then I took some more of this ribbon, wrapped it around the neck part of the male. Then I just took some and just made a knot in the middle of it. I'm going to cut it down. I'm going to dovetail the ends, and then I just made another little shoestring bow, kind of just like you would make a shoe, like you tie your shoes. I make a bow that way, and I'm going to trim it and dovetail the ends as well. I'm going to put the bow on the neck of the girl, and then I'm going to put the little knotted, it's supposed to be kind of like a tie, on the bottom part of the male. And then I did add a few little sunflowers to the female, and I just filled them. The boy I filled with some wheat picks, and the female I put some wheat picks, but mainly sunflowers. And I love how these came out. They are just so adorable. Look how cute they are. You have to let me know what you think about this one as well in the comment box below. Here's DIY number 2. Okay, so I'm going to use some of this fabric. I believe you know what? I was going to say I got it at Dollar Tree, but I'm pretty sure it's Hobby Lobby. That pumpkin, of course, is from Dollar Tree. And then that batting is from Walmart from last year, and then the jute cord ribbon from Amazon. So I started off by removing the hanger and the bow, and I'm removing that metal leaf. And then I'm going to take my heat gun here, and I'm just going to heat up the glue that's holding all the glitter on that pumpkin, and then I'm just going to scrape it all off. I started with my paint scraper and decided I didn't like the way that was working, so I just took one of my little Cricut spatulas and scraped off all of that glitter, and then just wiped it up when I was done. Then I took some strips of that batting, about 5 strips, and I'm just hot gluing them to the front of my pumpkin. Now I got this idea from somebody on TikTok. I will try and link or at least put her name in my description box, because I don't remember what her name was right now. But I kind of do this wrong. I wasn't paying attention to how she did it. So I started off by hot gluing up at the top the fabric to the top of the pumpkin there, and then I'm just going around the sides, and as I'm hot gluing it, I'm pulling it so it's tight to make it tight. But what I should have done is, you see I'm coming around the bottom. I should have started from this side, and then I should have hot glue in between each of those batting pieces, so that would give it more definition. So it would actually separate each little poof and pucker a little bit more. And I didn't realize it till I was pretty much done, and I was like, oh, I did this wrong. So I'm just going to go with it. So then I'm just taking my hot glue here, and I'm going to glue the fabric to the back of my pumpkin, and I'm just going to trim off the excess as much as I can, the extra fabric there. And then I get to the top here, and I realize, oh, I cut it too short at the top here. Oh, but I was able to get it to work barely. So then I took my braided jute ribbon. I love this stuff. I get it from Amazon all the time. It's one of my favorite things to use. But I am going to go around and hot glue this all around the top part there and around the sides, just like you see me doing. And actually, I think this is where I realized that I did it all wrong, because I'm like, wait, it's not really showing the definition of those little areas that have all the batting in them. And so then I was like, oh, I don't know what I did wrong. I was supposed to hot glue or glue the fabric down in the middle. So yeah, if you want to recreate this, I would suggest, I'll try to have a link to that video. I don't know if I can. I'll try and see if I can figure out how to link it in my description box so you can see how she did it, because it was really cool looking. But yeah, I might try making this one more time and do it the right way. But as you can see, I'm just kind of continuing with my ribbon, trying to make it, you know, have a little more distinction or definition of, you know, a pumpkin, how a pumpkin would have the little grooves. And so I am just going to add a few more of the little lines down in the middle of my pumpkin here, and then I'm going to do the same thing along the side there, just to kind of give it a little bit more of that definition of the batting, even though you can't really tell. What a bummer. Anyways, it still turns out okay. It's not what I was planning on it looking like, and yeah, but it's still okay. So after I had that all done, I took some more of that braided jute ribbon, and I'm just going to wrap the stem of the pumpkin. Now I know there's a specific name for this stem, but it's a really weird name, like peduncle or something like that, and I'm not sure I'm even saying it right. So I'm sure some of you are sitting there yelling the name to me as you watch this, but I'm just going to continue to use a little bit of hot glue and wrap it all the way around the top. After that, I went ahead and trimmed down my material as much as I could, and then I'm just covering it with some more of that braided jute ribbon. This way it just gives the back a nice, clean, finished look and doesn't look all messy and ugly. And so after that, I took some of these tumbling tower blocks. These came this color, and I took 4 and I'm hot gluing them together. And then I took the other 2 and hot glued those together as well. Then I'm just going to hot glue that strip of 4 right to the back of my pumpkin, and then the strip of 2 right behind the 4. And then I took this Hello Fall from Dollar Tree. I painted it with my agave paint, and then I'm just going to hot glue it right on the front. And then I'm going to take some different leaves that I had in my stash. You guys, I have, I think, 3 or 4 fall craft bins I'm trying to use, and I have bought a few things from Dollar Tree, but I'm trying to use all my stash this year, or as much of it as I can. So I used one of those pumpkins that I got last year from Dollar Tree, and some of those sunflowers this year from Dollar Tree, and there it is. It is really cute. It's not quite what I was looking for, but maybe we'll do it again, try it again on another video. You'll have to let me know what you think about this one as well. DIY number 3. I really love this one, you guys. I just think it's so pretty. Okay, so I'm going to take one of these frosted glass vases I got from Dollar Tree last year, my Waverly chalk paint in the color agave, and then some different picks from Dollar Tree and Walmart, and then this sign, of course, from Dollar Tree. So I'm going to start off by removing the hanger from the back of this sign using my staple remover. And then after that, I'm taping off the inside portion, because I know if I don't tape this off, I will get paint everywhere. If you are a better painter, then you don't have to tape it off. Then I just painted the trim of this sign as well as the back of it with that agave paint, because of course I got agave on the back and I had to paint it. Then I took that little string with the fish that was wrapped around this jar. I cut it off, or I untied it, and I'm using my Fix-All glue here in the middle of this little vase, and then I am going to use some hot glue as well to attach this vase to that sign. Now, I know that Dollar Tree had these this year, but if you don't have one of these, you know, you can make it with any kind of little vase or bottle. So after I had that on, I was like, why didn't I glue this on, this little ribbon, before I glued this bottle on? I tell you guys, I was on vacation too long, and I am having a heck of a time trying to get everything back to normal with my crafting. I'm just kind of spacey and slow and tired, and oh my goodness, but I'll get better, I promise. These I got from Walmart 2 years ago. I absolutely love these, and I kept looking for them last year, hoping that they'd have them again, and they didn't. But oh my goodness, you guys, I just think these are so beautiful, and this was the last that I had. So I'm adding these into my little vase here. I just love those colors. They're so pretty. Then I got this year from Dollar Tree. I thought this was really cool looking too. And I'm just going to add this as well. And then I'm going to add this little pick. I got this. This was in my stash. I'm pretty sure I got from Dollar Tree. I do end up cutting the end of that down a little bit after I stuck it. It was a little too high. And then I just took a sunflower here, and I'm just going to stick a sunflower in the very front of all of that. And then I'm going to take some little twine and just make it just a regular little shoelace bow here. And I'm going to cut down the ends, and then I'm going to hot glue that right into the front of my ribbon because, you know, it has that seam there since I had to glue it to the front. But anyways, then I took my stapler and I'm just stapling on a little hanger, and that's all there was. Look how pretty that is. I absolutely love this one. You have to let me know what you think about this one as well. And it was so easy too. Ugh. Okay, here's DIY number 1. So for this DIY, I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paints in the color Midnight Sky, Pumpkin, and Hazelnut. I am going to use these beautiful napkins I just recently found at Hobby Lobby. They are just gorgeous. This decal I created from my Cricut. And then this really big wood pumpkin I got also from Hobby Lobby when it was 40% off the $4.99. So I'm going to start off by marking. Here I marked, I believe, a 4-inch space. I do end up changing that to about 5 inches, maybe even a little bit more. 5.5 inches is what I changed it to be because I decided to make some smaller stripes, as you will, but I painted the top with pumpkin. I painted the smaller stripes with the night sky, the middle with hazelnut, and the bottom of it with that plaster. Once it was all dry, I am just using my Mod Podge here. I'm going over the bottom part, over the plaster color of my pumpkin, and then I set it to dry. And once it was dry, I'm taking some double-sided tape on my fingers because the plies did not want to come off of this very easy. So I just used double-sided tape on both my fingers, and then that helped me get that the plies off the back of that napkin. So I'm going to have to use 2 napkins here. Now, I wish I would have just done the one first and then add the second one because here I'm trying to put them together so I can put my parchment paper over it. But it was a little difficult with my fan, and then I can notice where the 2 napkins kind of overlap a little bit. You can kind of see it on the finished product. So if you recreate something like this, it might be better to just do one and then go and add the other one. At least for me, because my fan was blowing. That's how I should have done it. So here, again, I'm just taking my parchment paper and my heat press and going over that napkin. That way it just reactivates the Mod Podge. And then as you can see, kind of a line there where it's connected. It's not super noticeable, but I notice it. I see it. So yeah, it kind of bugs me. But anyways, I took my dishwasher safe Mod Podge and just went over that napkin to protect it. And then once it was done, I did use my lighter to burn off the excess. And then I am using my little finger sander to sand it all off. Now the reason why I didn't show my using the lighter is because of my fan right above me. I kind of have to do it away from where my camera sits. So then I'm taking my decal here, just putting it right in the middle. And the hazelnut is not one of my favorite colors, and I just felt like it seemed really dark. So I decided to take some of that plaster and just do a little bit of dry brushing all around. Then I connected these picks. These are all picks from Dollar Tree with a zip tie, and I hot glued them in place. And then I'm just going around, and I used my staple gun to kind of help staple some areas just to keep it on there. Then I'm taking this ribbon. I just recently got this from Hobby Lobby. I'm making a bow doing the awareness ribbon sign, and then scrunching it up in the middle and tying it with some jute twine. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this orange ribbon that I also got from Hobby Lobby. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm just going to tie them together. And then after that, I'm going to dovetail the ends, which means you just fold the ends in half, or fold them together and then cut at an angle. And once I was done with that, I put another zip tie behind that bow through the twine that connects them. And then I brought it through, sorry, this is out of frame, but I just brought it through those floral pieces and tightened and then cut off the excess. Then I took some of these velvet pumpkins from Dollar Tree, and I'm just hot gluing them all in place like you see me doing right here. And then I felt like something needed to be on the bow, so I took one of these little sunflowers that came off of a pick from Dollar Tree, and then I just replaced the hanger that I took off of it when I painted it. And that's all there was for this. You guys, I absolutely love this. I think it came out so beautiful in that napkin. Oh, it's so gorgeous. You have to let me know what you think. DIY number 4. So for this DIY, I'm going to use my plaster by Waverly, and then I'm going to again use my metallic paints, the Rich Espresso and the Worn Penny, and I'm also going to use the gold. I don't know why I didn't show you. And then these wood stems from Dollar Tree. And then I have 3 decals that I got off of Cricut Design Space. And then my husband cut this 4x4 down for me. I have a 4-inch, an 8-inch, and a 12-inch. So I painted them with the plaster. I did a very heavy distressing with a chip brush all over all 3 of those pieces. Then I took my decals from my Cricut, and I'm using my transfer tape to transfer them on. I'm going to use them as a stencil, and I'm just making sure it gets added onto my 4x4. Now I know it's kind of hard to see because it's white and it's on the off-white, but I probably should have done it maybe in a brighter color so that you guys could see it a little easier. But I did struggle taking my transfer tape off, but once I finally got it off, then I took my Rich Espresso, and I am just going over the bottom leaf with that Rich Espresso. And then after I have that one all covered and to my liking, then I'm going to take the Worn Penny and I'm going to do the next one up. I'm going to just stencil it right on using my stencil brush from Dollar Tree. I'm just pouncing up and down all the way around the edges and the middle of my leaf cutout. And then after that, I took the gold and I'm doing the top leaf. I'm sorry, this isn't really in frame for you, but I just did the exact same thing on the top leaf, just going up and down. And once I had that one all covered, then I am just going to remove my vinyl. Now this was Dollar Tree vinyl that I used. I figured it's really not that great, so I might as well use it for something. And it worked pretty good for stenciling. So then I took the next one. This one has just a whole bunch of leaf patterns kind of a thing. And I decided to just go over not most of it, but a good portion of it with the Rich Espresso. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to blend in with some of this Worn Penny, and then I'm going to blend in with some of the gold. I kind of wish I would have maybe done it a little different, because it almost it's almost like it mixed too much together. So maybe, I don't know, maybe I should have been a little more deliberate with where I placed them, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, it still came out pretty cool. Once I was done with that, then I had to really pick all those vinyl pieces off because of all the detailed pattern. You know, it was hard to pull it all off in one spot because there was a lot of detail with cuts, which caused them to be in smaller pieces. I hope that makes sense. But anyways, once I had this one all off, then I did this. Now I ran out of, I think because these are smaller, it didn't weed very easy with the white. So I used a blue non-Dollar Tree vinyl on this. And I'm just going over each leaf. I did these colors separately, and I'm just doing some gold and then some with the worn penny and some with the rich espresso. Then I'm just going to pull off all the blue, and there that one is. Then I took these stems and I'm just pulling off the bark. It's real papery thin bark, and I just pulled it all off on all three of those stems. And then I'm painting this one with the worn penny, and then I will paint another one with the rich espresso, and then the other one with the gold. And I painted the tops as well. I didn't paint the bottom because I'm going to be gluing those. And I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac glue here, only because my hot glue gun somehow got unplugged. And then I took some of this ribbon from Dollar Tree, and I'm cutting off. This had some gold edging on the sides, and I didn't like it. So I just cut them off, and I cut all three of them down. I didn't measure them. I would say they're about 5 inches probably. And I dovetailed the end of each one, and then I just kind of scrunch in the middle to make it kind of look like a bow tie. And then I am just going to tie a knot around with some twine. And after that, I am going to do that to all three of them. Then I take some of these pip berries and I am wrapping them around. I cut it down. I didn't measure, so I have no idea, but I just wrapping it about 6 or 7 times on my paintbrush there. And then I take it and I'm just wrapping it around the peduncle. I think that's how you say it. Anyways, and then I'm just kind of playing with it. I did twist them together, and then I'm just going to hot glue that bow in front, and there they are. I think they are so cute. You'll have to let me know what you think about these as well. I love those metallic colors, you guys. You'll probably see more DIYs with those this year because I absolutely love those colors. But anyways, my final reveal is coming right up. Make sure you guys check out okay, so this is DIY number 2. So I'm going to use one of these candlesticks from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use some of these leaves that I got a couple years ago from Amazon. They are in my Amazon store, but you could use any kind of little leaves that you have if you want to recreate this. I'm going to use this pumpkin. I got it from the Dollar Tree Plus section last year at Dollar Tree. I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paint again in the color Ivory, this Deco Art gold metallic paint, and then my Deco Art metallics in the color Rich Espresso and Worn Penny. I love that Worn Penny. I know most of you know that. It's just one of my favorites. So I'm going to remove the stem, and this is just styrofoam in there, and you just pull it right out. And then I painted both of those with that ivory. Now I was running out of that ivory, and it was getting really, really thick. So my pumpkin, you can see cracks in it, and I know it's just because that paint was so thick. So as you can see there, I painted those leaves with that gold color and the Rich Espresso and the Worn Penny. And now I'm just going to hot glue them all around this pumpkin. And I'm just putting a little bit of hot glue on the bottom of each one. And then once it was on there, I took the top of the one that's before it and just hot glued it down. And then I just went and did this all the way around my pumpkin. Now, afterwards, I thought, oh, you know, it'd be really fun is to have a little bit bigger pumpkin and do this, but have it like coming down. And yeah, anyways, I just thought that would be pretty too. Once I had that done, I took some Fix All glue. I'm going to put it around the top of my candlestick, and then I'm going to add some hot glue as well. That's for the immediate hold, and then of course the Fix All is for the permanent hold. And then I'm just going to lay my pumpkin right on top, just like you see right there. And as you can see, I just put a little bit of hot glue on that stem and pushed it back in. I'm going to take, I had a couple leaves left over, and I thought I'm just going to run these down my candlestick. So I'm just going to hot glue them down the candlestick. And that's kind of where I got the idea of a bigger pumpkin with the leaves coming downward. I took some of this gold like rope twine stuff. It's trimming, I think. Anyways, I think I got this at Hobby Lobby. I know they have this, but I'm going to make a finger bow, a quadruple finger bow. So I'm just wrapping my fingers 4 times, and then I'm taking that end, going through my fingers, coming up around and going back through that loop that I just made, and then pull really tight. And then after that, I'm just going to hot glue it to the top of my pumpkin by the stem. Sorry, you can't see that. And then I'm going to cut down the tails of that bow. And I probably should have painted that stem gold. That would have been really pretty too. But anyways, there it is. I love how this came out. And this is another Pinterest inspiration piece too. And I'll have a link to that one as well. Okay, here's DIY number 3. So for this DIY, I'm going to use my mesh tube here that I got from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paint in the color Ivory, and this sweater that I bought at Goodwill. And then I created this. No, I didn't create this. I got this off of Design Space, my Cricut Design Space, and then this little round from Michaels. And then I'm going to use this pizza pan from Dollar Tree. So I'm going to start off by taking my little finger sander and just sanding all around the front and the back and all the edges. I just feel like giving a little bit of a sanding helps that paint adhere a little bit better, because I know paint doesn't necessarily like to stick to metal so much. So after I had it all sanded down, I took a wipey and just wiped it all off. And then I painted it front and back with my Ivory chalk paint. And then I also did the same with that little wood round. Then I took one of these splatter screens. These are the exact same size as the inside of that pizza pan. So I laid it out on my sweater here, and I'm just using it as a template to cut around. And then I'm just going to cut this sweater out. Then I went with my very heavy, thick fabric Mod Podge, which I'm almost out of. I need to get more. And I'm just going to brush it all around the inside of my pan. And then I take my sweater piece here, and I'm just going to lay it all out inside of my pan. And then after I have that all laid out, I decided it needed something more. So I took some of this tubing, mesh tubing, and I'm just going to hot glue it all the way around between the edge of that sweater and the edge of the inside part of the pizza pan, just like you see right there. And after I have this all done, I was like, okay, there's just, for me, there's too much white. So you'll see, I'll show you here in a minute. I think I'm getting ahead of myself of what I'm going to do, but I'm just going to finish hot gluing this, cut it off, and then I am going to add my decals to this wood piece. And I'm just adding this circle part. Now, like I said, I got this off Cricut Design Space. It was already created, but it is made so that you can ungroup it if you want to do different colors. So I did the hello weather in a gold color. I did the round part in the black, and then I did this sweater color, or the color was more of a copper color, and I thought this would be perfect for what I'm doing. Then I took some of this vintage distressed oxide, and I went around to do like some distressing, but I wasn't quite happy with the way it was looking. So I then, this is called Vintage Photo, by the way. So then I took my finger and I just kind of started smearing it, and I thought, okay, I like that better. but it was still not quite looking the way I wanted it. So I did take a really small paintbrush and that worn penny and just kind of went around the edge of it as well. Then I took that worn penny and I very slowly, I have this really sped up. This is how slow I was going. Brushed it along the edge of my pizza pan, because this is where I was like, okay, it's just, for me, it's too white. It needs a little bit more color. So once that was dry, I took some tacky glue. Why I'm using all these different glues, I don't know. It's just what I grabbed. And then I took my hot glue, and the hot glue, of course, again, is for the immediate hold. And I'm just going to lay that right on top of that sweater. I took some of this ribbon. I got this, I think, last year at Dollar Tree, and I'm just making a bow by doing the awareness ribbon, scrunching it up, and using the twine again to secure that bow in place. And then I will dovetail the ends of this one, and you dovetail by folding your ends together and then cutting at an angle downward. You can cut upwards as well. It does give it a little bit different shape, I think. Then I hot glued it to my top of my pan here, and I just kind of tacked the edges down so it didn't cover the words. These leaves I got last year from Hobby Lobby. I know they have them again, but they come in a pack with some really dark blue, pretty beautiful leaves. And I thought I had more of these leaves, but I could only find the 2. So I thought, well, I think 2 will be enough. And I really do like the way this came out. It's not too much, because I didn't want to overwhelm that sweater. So then I took some more of that tubing, because I felt like that bow just needed something more. So I made a little bow with it, and I'm going to hot glue it there. One of the legs was kind of wonky, so I just went ahead and just kind of tacked it down as well with some hot glue. Then I just felt like, okay, it needs just a little bit more. So I took some more of that mesh tubing, and I'm just going to hot glue it all the way around my little round wood sign there. And then I took some more of that mesh tubing, tied knots on the ends, and hot glued them to the back as a hanger. And that's all there was for this one. I absolutely love how this came out. Oh my gosh, I think it is beautiful. You have to let me know what you think about this one in the comment box as well. So for this DIY, I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paint in the color Pumpkin. I'm going to use, these are the giant craft sticks. I do switch them out for jumbo, but I get those at Dollar Tree. And then this came off of some wood pieces I got from Hobby Lobby at Christmas time a couple of years ago. One of these beaded wreaths from Dollar Tree. This beautiful plaid paper from Hobby Lobby. It came in this paper pack, but I think you can buy that separately too at Hobby Lobby. And then some of these wood decor slat pieces. I don't know what you call them, but I get those from Dollar Tree as well. So I'm going to start off by putting those together. And this is where I'm showing you, I changed the giant sticks out for the jumbo. The jumbo's a little bit smaller. Those giant craft sticks were too long for the 2 of these. So I went ahead and got the smaller ones here. I'm just attaching them to the back of my board so that it becomes one unit using my wood glue and my hot glue. Just like you see, I did all of those, and then I'm just putting them along the back, and then that way it becomes one piece. Then I'm going to take my paper, and I am cutting them down to fit onto those boards. Now, the nice thing about this plaid is the lines lined up very nicely. It was almost perfect, and I just loved it. So I'm just going to line that up, and then I was making sure that it lined up there. And then I'm going to add my Mod Podge here all over my board, and then I'm going to take my paper and I'm going to lay it down. Now, I didn't let this one dry this time. A lot of times I don't do that with paper because it's thicker. And the reason why I like to do it with napkins is because the napkins wrinkle more. Paper usually doesn't. But I just added the paper there, and then I covered it again with Mod Podge and let it dry. Then I took my painter's tape here, and I kind of did it kind of wonky. But anyways, I laid my beads down on the painter's tape, and I'm just doing a really high distressing, or high, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, really thick distress all around the beads, front and back. Once they were dry, as you can see, I didn't coat it completely. That's how I wanted it. I wanted some of the natural bead to kind of show through to give it some dimension. I laid that stick in place, and I was trying to see exactly what would be the best way to glue this, because I was like, how do I do this? Because if you glue the beads, then they move when you go to lay them. So I'm trying to do it on my board as well as I could, and then I go and I lay my pumpkin down and look at that top left corner. It was really off, so I'm like, that's okay, I'll just add a little bit more in a better shape here. And then I just went around and wiped off the extra glue that's laying there, but I just made sure that it was all the beads were all even and laying down into that glue. And then I just took some hot glue here, and I'm gluing down my little birch stem stick thingy. These leaves I got off of the next DIY that's coming up, but I thought they were really pretty. I thought they went really well with this pumpkin and that paper. Then I took some of these pip berries, and I wrapped it around my paintbrush about 6 times, and then I'm just going to hot glue them in behind those leaves there. And I was just kind of making the bottom have a little bit of depth there, so it'd be easier to hot glue. And then after that, I took some more. I had a little bit left over of the pip berries, and I just kind of wrapping around that little bow there, just to kind of give it a little something extra. And then I'm just going to put a little dab of hot glue on the back of it to hold it in place. After that, I decided it needed a little distressing, so I took a little sponge makeup applicator from Dollar Tree, and I'm dipping it in my antique wax, and I'm just kind of going over the whole board. And then I also went over the beads as well with a little bit of that brown. If you don't like distressing, you don't have to do that. But there, I just made a couple holes, added a jute twine. I was going to add a beaded jute twine hanger, but I was really tired after this and was being lazy. But you could do that as well. You have to let me know what you think about it. I love the way this turned out. It was just rustic and simple, and I love it. You have to let me know what you think. Okay, DIY number 4, you guys. I realized after I did this, I'd done one like this last year with those smaller pumpkins. So I hope you're not bored of this. I'm going to use that wood give thanks. I'm going to use these beautiful napkins from Dollar Tree. I just love these napkins. On the bottom there, you can see the plaid on the bottom of that napkin. They had a coordinating plaid napkin. Of course, I got these last year, so I wanted to use all of those. And then I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paint in the color Plaster and my Apple Barrel acrylic paint in the color Burnt Umber. I'm going to use 3 of these squared pumpkins that I just recently got from Dollar Tree. I'm going to start off by removing those little harvest signs, and then I am going to remove all of those leaves. Those are the leaves that I used on the previous pumpkin DIY. And then I just start ripping off all that paper, and just like that, it came off. And then I painted both sides with my Waverly chalk paint in the color Plaster. And after they were all done, I went ahead and covered the front of each one of them with my Mod Podge and let it dry. And then once they were dry, I went around and I fussy cutted this little seam out. I removed that back ply. Dollar Tree napkins only have 1 ply. And I'm going to lay it in place. I'm going to put my parchment paper. This is regular parchment paper you get in from your kitchen. And I'm using my heat press. You can use an iron as long as there's no steam to reactivate the Mod Podge so that the napkins stick. And then I did that with the other pumpkins as well. I'm just making the other 2 plaid so that they kind of coordinate. Then I went around and I sanded I forgot. I did cover them with Mod Podge again and let it dry because that helps protect the napkins. Then I went and sanded off the excess. After that, I took my Burnt Umber and I painted each one of the stems, or peduncles if you want to get technical. And once I had all of those painted, which will be any moment here, I am going to take my wood glue here and a little bit of hot glue, and I'm going to glue these pumpkins together. And like I said, I did this last year on smaller ones. I don't know why I did it again, but I love it, and I hope you guys like it too. As you can see, that one fell, but that's okay. It stuck. I just had to get the third pumpkin under it here, or behind it. Then I went ahead and took some more of the pip berries, and I'm just wrapping this around the middle pumpkin. I just kind of tacked them down in the back with some hot glue. And then I added a few of these leaves. These came from Dollar Tree. And then I took some of this ribbon from Dollar Tree. I took the tan and the brown. And I'm cut 2 pieces of each and just kind of making X's, putting them together. And then I'm going to take some jute twine there and tie them together, just like you see. I'm going to tie a knot. And I decided, instead of continuing making like a fussy bow, that I was going to take some of this pumpkin ribbon that I just got this year from Dollar Tree. I thought it was really pretty. It's got the orange and the blue, and I'm really into orange and blues this year. But I just made a little bow doing the awareness ribbon, scrunching it up, and then added to the front of these little bows, whatever you call this kind of ribbon, I don't know. And I tied the twine around it to keep it all in place. I did cut the ends of that ribbon at an angle, and then I am just going to hot glue this right in the front of that first pumpkin. Then I had these from years ago. I got them at a craft warehouse in Oregon where we lived, and I just went and I put them around the other 2 on the end, the other 2 pumpkins, and then I'm just going to dab a little hot glue to keep it in place. And then I took my Give Thanks, I had painted it with my pumpkin color, and I'm just adding that to the front of that pumpkin, the middle pumpkin, and there it is. I love how this came out. I think it is so pretty. You could do so many things with those pumpkins. You could use paper or napkins or material or just paint them. There's so much you could do. Okay, here's DIY number 1. So for this DIY, I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paint in the color Pumpkin, Folk Art acrylic paint in the color True Burgundy. I'm also going to use my Waverly antique wax as well as my Waverly plaster. I'm going to use this Thankful pumpkin that I got from Dollar Tree. I actually got it a couple years ago, I think. And then one of these little wooden words from Dollar Tree as well. And then I got this 12 by 12 wood canvas from Dollar Tree. It is normally $3 in their dollar plus section, but one of my Dollar Trees marked them all down to $1.25 to get rid of them. So I was happy to buy them. So I'm going to start off by taking my antique wax. I brush it all over the front and the back of my wood canvas here, and then I just wipe off the excess wax, and then I let it dry a little bit. And then after that, I am taking my heat gun and my paint scraper here, and I am just very carefully removing that thankful word. And most of the time when I do this, I butcher everything and it comes off in pieces, but I was really let my heat gun sit over that word for a while. In fact, you can kind of see it was starting to scorch the words, but it actually came off in one piece. So I took some washi tape here from Dollar Tree, and I'm laying it out to make some lines. And I was hoping it would be good, but it didn't work out too well. So you'll see that in a little bit. So before I painted, I decided to take my spackling from Dollar Tree and went ahead and filled in the holes. Then I painted my whole pumpkin with my plaster color. After that, I removed the washi tape. I added some more so that I could paint the bigger line, the thicker line, with my antique wax. And I'm just going to go over that thicker line with my wax and then wipe it off with a paper towel, just like you would any other time. And then after I had that done, I removed all of the tape. Well, I dried it first. Then I removed all the tape, and then I dried it. Then I added some more tape, but when I was removing this tape, you guys, some of that purple left like purple mark on my pumpkin. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? So after that, I just retaped it using regular painter's tape. I made another line with the True Burgundy, and then once that was dry, I made some more lines where it was blank from the washi tape, and then painted the orange, and that's what I got. I also used I painted the stem of that pumpkin with hazelnut. Then I painted the Hello Fall with my antique wax, and I took some ribbons. Most of these are from Dollar Tree, except for the orange one, I think is the only one that's from Hobby Lobby. I didn't like the gold on this ribbon, so I'm just cutting that gold part off here. And then I am just going to dovetail the ends by folding it and cutting at an angle. And then this is probably the hardest part of the whole project, is I'm just taking each piece, scrunching it up in the middle, and just kind of crisscrossing them. And the hardest part was just holding all of those. But then I took some twine and wrapped it around and just tied a knot. And it just made such a beautiful little bow. I just loved how it came out. So after I had it all done, I'm going to trim off that twine. And I decided to make some holes with my big mouth crocodile, and I'm making a couple holes here. And this is just right underneath that stem. Then I'm going to take a zip tie and I run it through those holes, and then I run it through the back part of my bow, going through that twine. I was like having a hard time figuring out how did it get it go through, but I finally got it through. And then I'm just gonna, oh, did you see that? It went through my burlap ribbon. Anyways, I went through the back and then tightened that zip tie and cut off the excess. Then I'm going to use some wood glue here. I am running out of my wood glue, so I'm having to use a brush, and I was just trying to get as much off of the cap as I could. And I'm just going to brush most of the back of my Hello Forward, and then the area that didn't have the wood glue, I used some hot glue, and then I just laid it on the front of my pumpkin. Then I took some Tight Bond multi-purpose glue. I'm adding that to the back of tumbling tower blocks with some hot glue and adding it to my pumpkin. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the top part of those tumbling tower blocks, and then I'm going to turn it around and add it into my wood canvas. And then I just use my ruler here to mark so I'd know where I'd want to make the staples, and I stapled in my hanger, and there it is. I absolutely love how this came out, and it only cost me about $3.50, but it is so beautiful. I absolutely love it. You have to let me know what you think about this one in the comment box below. So here's DIY number 2. So for this DIY, you guys, I'm going to use some of these candlesticks that I got at my grocery store a couple of years ago after Christmas. And I don't remember exactly what they were, but I know they were under $2. I got some of these jars from Dollar Tree, and then I'm going to use my Rust-Oleum 2x extra cover flat white spray paint. But before I painted it, I took some alcohol and I am just wiping my candlesticks and jars down really well. Then I took some E6000 and I'm just going to put it along the sides of my candlestick here. And then I'm going to use some hot glue where I didn't put the E6000, and then I'm just going to set my my jars on top of those candlesticks. Then I took them outside and painted them with my white spray paint. Once they were all dry, I'm taking some Waverly chalk paint in the color pumpkin, and I'm going to paint the jars with that orange. Now you might be asking, why did I spray paint them and then paint over them with the white? And I mainly did it because I was using that spray paint more like a primer, especially with glass, because you know, sometimes paint doesn't want to stick to glass. So I'm using that paint more like a primer. So I am just going to go over each pumpkin, and once it was dry, I took my antique wax and I'm just brushing along through the little crevices along this what I'm calling a pumpkin, because I think it looks like a pumpkin, and I absolutely adore these. I love how these came out. I went ahead and did a little distressing around the top there, just like you see me doing. And then I did the same thing. I painted the lid with the orange as well, and then did the distressing. Then I went down to my candlestick and I'm going to cover it with my antique wax. Now I love doing this because a lot of times you can see bits of that white sticking through, and it kind of makes it look like real wood, and I love it. So I'm just kind of brushing it all along until because you kind of have some brush marks, and I just keep brushing it until it's at a point where I like it. And then you want to let it dry for quite a while. Probably overnight is a good good amount of time. So I am just going to take some hot glue here, and I'm going to wrap the bottom part with some of my twine that I got from Walmart, and I just wrap it around about three or four times, I don't remember. And this just kind of gives it a little more rustic look, and I love rustic. And then I decided to do the same thing around the lid. Now I'm not going on the bottom and covering the lid because I want to be able to remove the lid. And I thought about maybe trying to put some fairy lights in it maybe to see if it lights up. It might be too dark with all the paint. But anyways, I went ahead and just covered the lid again with some more twine, and then I'm just going to glue it. And I did glue it in little spots here and there just to make sure it stays in place. After that, I took a piece of wood. This is from Dollar Tree. It comes in a little package of wood pieces. Then I took some berry pick here, and or pip berry, and I'm wrapping it around, coiling it around one of my paintbrushes, and then I just wrap it around that stem, and then I just kind of tacked some of it down with some hot glue on both sides there. And after I had that done, I went ahead and added some more hot glue along the top of my lid, and then I'm gonna add some Spanish moss, and I do that on both the top or both sides of that lid, just like you see me doing right here. And once I had that all the way I liked it, I think I'm going to give it a little bit of a haircut here, trim off some of those pieces. Then I took an acorn. I got this acorn, I don't know when, a while back from Hobby Lobby. You can still get them at Hobby Lobby, and just glued one in there. Now I'm going to make a finger bow, but I'm going to go over my fingers 3 times, and then I'm going to cut off a long tail. Then I'm going to wrap that tail around those loops that are on my finger, come back around and go through the loop that I just made around those loops on my finger, and then I pull really tight. After that, I'm just going to trim off the bottom of the ribbon, and I'm going to hot glue that on the bottom, and there it is. And I made 2 of those, so they are about $4 each, and I love them. And if you don't have those candlesticks, you could use any kind of candlesticks from Dollar Tree, but I absolutely love the way these came out. Oh, I think they are just beautiful. You'll have to let me know what you think about these in the comment box below. Okay, here's DIY number 1. So for this DIY, I'm going to use one of these leaf wreath forms from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use some yarn I had in my stash. This is called Redwood. It's a red heart. You could use any color you wanted if you wanted to recreate this. And then this beautiful towel I just recently got from Dollar Tree. So I'm going to start off by taking a little bit of hot glue and tacking my yarn down so that I can start wrapping. Now I decided to go ahead and pull out quite a bit yarn from my roll there, and I'm going to take it. I figured this would be easier to weave in and out of that wreath form. Here I'm just kind of trying to figure out what is the best way to do it. I thought maybe if I just kind of wrap for a little bit and then bring all that yarn through, it would work, but no, it didn't. I was getting it all tangled up. So I found that the best way to weave it was to just really make it all in one bunch, like I'm holding in my hand there, and then just bring it all through and then just wrap. Now that amount that I pulled there, it went about 3/4 of the way around the outside of my wreath form. So, and it's really didn't take that long. If you have something to watch on TV or listen to an audiobook or something like that, it really does help the time go by fast, but it really didn't take very long. Once I had the outside of it all done, I then did this middle, and there it is. Then I'm going to take my towel here, and I'm going to lay it out, and I placed it like I wanted it, and then I just cut pretty much right at the halfway point of this towel. Now I had another wreath form. I thought about making 2 of these, but I really wanted, if I would have had some material that was like either just a plain rust color or green or yellow, I would have probably made 2 and just had one kind of offset the other, but I didn't. So as you can see, I just put some hot glue along the middle part of my wreath form, and I attached it to the front of that towel. And now I'm just going through and using hot glue to run along the rest of it that I did not have the hot glue to. And I did this on one side and then I did the other side. And as you can see, I'm just putting the hot glue along the back side of it and then adding my towel to it. And then as you can see also that towel, once you cut it, it leaves a lot of lint everywhere. I had a mess. So after I had it all glued to the wreath form, I'm just going around with my scissors and cutting all around that leaf form, so that way it's right up close. Now, after I had this all done, I didn't like the edge of it showing, and plus it just seemed to be shedding a lot more of the fuzz there. So I decided to take this braided jute cord, is what I call it. I get it from Amazon. I do have it in my Amazon store. I love this stuff. And I am just going and wrapping around the ends or the edge of this wreath form to kind of help cover up that rough edge of the towel. And then I'm just going to go all the way around it like you see. I love how this came out. Once I was done with that, I grabbed some different leaves that had colors that would match the towels. I grabbed some orange sunflowers from Dollar Tree. All of these came from Dollar Tree. And then those yellow, I think they're hop bushes, or hop flowers, something like that, I think is what they're called. And I'm just adding them in, and then I'm going to use a zip tie to connect them all. I did end up having to cut down the stems of them a little bit more. They were a little too long there, but I wasn't quite sure how long I wanted it, so I waited until I had them all together, and then I did trim those stems. Then I'm going to take some hot glue. Oh wait, before I do that, I'm going to make a bow. So I'm just taking this ribbon. I got this last year or the year before at Hobby Lobby. I'm just making the awareness ribbon, scrunching it up in the middle and connecting the two together just like that. Both of those ribbons came from Hobby Lobby. And then I'm going to take some jute twine and scrunch it up and tie it in the middle there. And then once I trim off the twine there, I'm going to dovetail the ends by folding them in half and cutting at an angle. Now I'm going to take some hot glue and I'm just going to stick the stems right down in that. And it was a pretty big pile of hot glue. Then I'm just going to take my bow and put it right over those stems. And then I took some twine. I thought, oh man, I need a way to hang it. So I wrapped it around the top part of my stem there, and I'm making a knot, leaving it, a good opening there. Then I'm just going to tack the sides down to the side so it doesn't move around. And so I'm just tacking it down with some hot glue. And that's all there is for this. I love this. It would be really cool to have two of them together. But yeah, I love the way this came out. You have to let me know what you think about this one in the comment box below. Here's DIY number 2. So for this DIY, I'm going to use this Give Thanks wood word that comes from was it like a 6-pack from Dollar Tree? My Waverly chalk paint in the color plaster, and then my Tuscan red by Apple Barrel. I'm going to use some some burlap from Dollar Tree. This is a pumpkin sign I got last year. I'm not sure if they have them this year. I don't remember seeing them. You could use any pumpkin sign and tumbling tower blocks to make it stand. And then that paper came from Hobby Lobby. So I'm just using my heat gun here to remove that bow, that ugly bow. And then this little flower thing just went flying across my room. And then I had it on here to remove that burlap covering, but I really didn't need it. It just rips off really easy. But be careful because there is mega glitter behind this stuff. And as you can see on my table, it was getting everywhere. So once I had that all off, I took that heat gun and my scraper and I just scraped off as much of that glitter as I could. I just wanted to get rid of it. I could have probably just put some Mod Podge over it and then add my paper to it, but yeah, I didn't. Now I was going to paint the back of this with my plaster. I decided instead to just use that Tuscan red and paint the base, and I didn't paint the pumpkin at all. Then I laid my pumpkin down on my paper and traced it out. I didn't show this because I had to lay it down over my table because of the ledge of the holder on the pumpkin, so it wouldn't have been in view. But I'm just going to cut it all out here like you see. And then I'm just going to use my Elmer's glue stick here, and I'm going to go all over that pumpkin, making sure I have a good layer. And then I'm going to add my paper right to the front of this pumpkin. This is a really easy DIY, you guys. I know I told you on my last video, I'm starting to get a little tired of the fall DIYs. So I only have a couple more videos for fall, and then we're starting Christmas. I'm actually really getting excited. I know some of you are probably thinking, I'm not ready for Christmas, but I'm ready to do something different. So I took that burlap and I cut it down, and I'm just going to glue it, the ends to the back. Now, I wish I would have not made so much on this side, because the other side was a little harder to glue down because it wasn't long enough. Anyways, but I made it work. I got it all glued on. I added a little extra glue on that just to make sure it stayed. Then I painted the Give Thanks with that Tuscan red, and then I am just using my hot glue to go around the back of it and add it to the front, just like that. And then I am taking some twine here. I just dabbed a little bit of hot glue on the back of it, added my twine, and then I'm just going to wrap it. Now, I added twine here on the bottom to start out with. Twine. I added hot glue to start out with, so that twine would stick to the paper and not move around. It shows some of that pumpkin because I didn't paint it or anything. So I'm just wrapping it, and as I get close to the top, I then started having to use hot glue to keep that twine in place because of the way that stem is cut out. It's kind of got ridges, and so it was wanting to slip. And then I just put a little bit of hot glue on the very top and added a piece of twine there to cover it. And then after I had that all done, I grabbed a bow that I had, a jute bow that I had from a previous project, and added it to it. And there it is. I think even though it is so simple, it is really, really cute. And I love it. You have to let me know what you think about this one as well. This is my wood scarecrow. I just think he's adorable. I'm going to use Waverly chalk paints in the color white and in the color pumpkin. I'm going to use some more of those leaves that I bought from Amazon. And then I'm going to use, I think this was part of a 5-gallon paint. No, I think it was just a regular paint stick that I had cut down. This I had found in our shed. It is a 1x4 and it's 18.5 inches long. I'm going to use one of these little plaques from Dollar Tree. I thought I was going to use these pumpkins, but I didn't. I'm going to use these little hay bales from Dollar Tree, these little stickers, sunflower stickers from Dollar Tree, and then these little pumpkins on the sticks from Dollar Tree. So I started off by marking, I don't remember what the lengths were. I think it was like 6 or 7, and then 4.5, and then the rest. I painted the top and the bottom with the pumpkin. I painted the middle, the plaque with the white, and then I painted the paint stick with the pumpkin as well. Once they were all dry, I went around and just sanded the edges of all of this stick. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I grabbed my sanding sponge from Dollar Tree and did the same thing on my scarecrow. I went around and just sanded the edges so that you could see it. It would have a little bit of that worn look. After that, I just did some really light distressing with my antique wax, going over this little stick with it, and then I'm going to do the same thing all over my little scarecrow. If you don't like distressing and you want to recreate this, just make it your own. Don't do the distressing, but I really enjoy distressing. I love the look. And so that's why I do it. And then I decided, of course, this was too white for me, so I went ahead and distressed this as well. Then I took a pencil here, and I'm just trying to draw in a face for my scarecrow. And I always like doing this because I am not a drawer. Really, I can't really do freehand like a lot of people do. In fact, I had my laptop up and I was just kind of copying what I was looking at. After I had everything drawn in, I'm taking this paint marker that I had and I'm coloring in the eyes, and then I'm coloring in the mouth. And then I am going to use another paint marker, an orange one of my Arteza paint markers, and I'm just going to color in the triangle nose here. And then I'm going to use my black paint marker again, and I'm going to go in and, I'm going to use this blue metallic and my white metallic markers from Dollar Tree and color in some of the eyes. And then I'm using my black Sharpie to make the little stitch lines on the mouth, and I was going to do it on the nose too, and I forgot. Anyways, I took my wood glue and hot glue, and I'm gluing that stick onto my scarecrow so it looks like a hat. Then I'm going to hot glue this ribbon on around the neck of my scarecrow. Now, I don't know why I'm doing it this way, but this is just the way I was doing it. I should have, now that I look at this too, grab some raffia and add some raffia for hair for the scarecrow. But you know what? It doesn't matter because I really love him just the way he is. I'm just going to continue and go around and hot glue this ribbon all the way around. You guys, I don't know why I did it this way, but yeah, and I don't know why I showed you all of this because I really didn't need to. Oh my goodness. So I'm just going to get this all hot glued together all the way around my little scarecrow like you see. And then after I had that all done, I took some more of that ribbon. This ribbon actually I got from Dollar Tree either last year or the year before. It's been in my stash. I have like 3 totes of fall crafts, you guys. And I'm trying to use it. I'm trying not to buy much from Dollar Tree because I want to use all of this. So I'm just making a bow by doing the awareness ribbon, scrunching it up in the middle, and then tying some jute twine around the middle. And then I'm going to dovetail the ends, which you just fold in your ends and then cut at an angle, cutting downward. And then after that, I am going to fluff it, and then I'm going to hot glue it right to the front of my cute little scarecrow. Just like that. Then I decided to take some more of this ribbon. I'm cutting the gold. I didn't really like the gold, but I wanted to look a little more worn. So I'm pulling some of the threads and they came off really easy. And then I'm just going to hot glue it down on the bottom just like that. So it looks like a patch. Then I did another one for the hat. I'm going to glue that right on top. And then I decided to do a little more embellishments, and I found in my stash one of these little leaves with a button. And then I found these leaves. All of those leaves actually came from Hobby Lobby. They were in my stash, but I think you could probably find them this year too. Seems like you see them every year. I put one of those on the bow, and then I found one of these little resin pumpkins from Hobby Lobby as well, added it to the hat. Then I'm going to use my wood glue and hot glue and glue my scarecrow onto the base. But first I hit my camera with, with the scarecrow. So sorry about the shaking. Then I'm going to go through and hot glue some of these leaves on there. And then I'm going to hot glue the little hay bales. These are so stinking cute. And then after that, I took some of these pumpkins. I cut the bottom stem. I do trim off the top stems because the top stick on them is like really, really long on a lot of them. So I just cut it down so it looks a little more like a stem on a pumpkin. And then I hot glued them onto the bales. And then I took some of these little mini sunflowers that came from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to hot glue them on the bales as well. And there he is. He is so cute. You guys, my husband wanted me to put some googly eyes like on sticks coming around him. I don't know what he's thinking, but he wanted me to put googly eyes like someone's looking from behind the scarecrow. My husband's crazy. Okay, here's DIY number 3. So for this DIY, I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paint in the color white, my Waverly antique wax, and then my Waverly chalk paint in the color pumpkin. I'm going to use a whole bunch of these decals that I created with my Cricut. These are all my grandchildren and great-grandchildren's names. I'm going to use some of these pumpkins, the smaller pumpkins with the plaid. Those were for the great-grandkids. And then I'm going to use these tops of a 5-gallon paint stir stick, and then 2 of these signs that I've had in my stash forever. So I started off by removing the top paper just like I did on the first DIY. Then I just spritz it all down with water, let it set for, you should probably let it set 3 or 4 minutes. This, I think I might have maybe had 2 minutes on it. But I'm scraping off all the gunk. was a little harder to scrape off. The longer you wait, the easier it gets to scrape it off. So once it was all cleaned, I'm going to use my wood glue and hot glue to glue these little sticks onto the back to connect them. Then I took a chip brush and I was going to do just a kind of a light distressing, but I didn't like it, so I just kept going thicker and thicker until it was the way I liked it. After that, I took my pumpkin chalk paint and painted all of those with that pumpkin color. Once they were all dry, I started off by putting all my grandkids' names over the pumpkins. And I have to tell you guys, every time I put a name on these pumpkins, I prayed for my grandkids. Ugh, I love them all so much, and my heart is always praying for these guys because this world is a little crazy, and I just pray for their lives. After I had that all done, I took this little square ruler here, and I'm just going to make my marks again, just like I did on the first one, because I wanted this to be more detailed so you'd know where those lines were. Then I did the same thing where I smeared the lines, and then I took my decal that says Mimi's favorite pumpkins. Now I know most people spell Mimi M-I-M-I, but my grandson's great grandmother's name was Mimi, and I spelt my Mimi different so we could know what the difference was, if that makes sense. So I'm just using my wood glue and hot glue here to add my pumpkins. And you guys, when I started doing this, when I got done with all the pumpkins and I was laying these out, I went, oh my goodness, I never even stopped to see if these were all going to fit. And so as you can see, I'm having to overlap them and kind of twist them because they wouldn't have fit. I don't know why. That's usually one of the first things I do is make sure everything fits. But anyways, I got it to work, thank goodness. So I took some twine. I'm just tying some knots on the twine and putting them on the boys' names, and then the girls, I made bows with twine. Then I should have done this before I added the pumpkins, but I wanted some little like nail marks on the ends of these, and I remembered after I had those all on, and I'm like, darn it. So I thought, well, I'm going to try my best to get them on all of the ones that I can. And I think it came out pretty good. So if you recreate something like this, make sure you do that first. But you know, you could do this if you only have kids. You could do this if you have grandkids. You could, you know, there's so much. You could just do it for your family. There's so much you could do for this. So I added that hanger. I made a little shoestring bow with this ribbon, and then I'm just going to glue this on, and that's all there was for this. To me, this is really special. I love all these kids so much. They are all just my sweet pumpkins. You'll have to let me know what you think about this one in the comment box below. Okay, here's DIY number 1. So for this DIY, I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paints in the color Pumpkin and Night Sky. I'm also going to use some Waverly Antique Wax. And then I'm going to use some of these, I think they are 15 millimeter beads, half beads. I get them from Amazon. I do believe I have them in my Amazon store. One of these palette pumpkins from Dollar Tree. And then, of course, a pizza pan from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use this little page from a paper pack that I got from Michael's. I'm going to use that piece there that I pointed to, and then 2 of these pages. Look how beautiful those are. And this is what the paper pack looked like. I cut that, I don't know if it was a year or 2 ago, from Michael's. And then I'm going to use some of this braided jute ribbon, I call it, from Amazon. So I started off by taking my little finger sander, and I'm just sanding the whole pizza pan front and back because I feel like it helps the paint adhere a little bit better. And then I wiped it off really well, and then I painted it. I gave it 2 coats on the front and the back with my Night Sky. Once they were dry, I used that varnish by Waverly to cover it, just to kind of help protect the paint on that metal. Then I took the paper in my pumpkin here, and I'm just tracing out the paper for the areas that I'm going to place it. And I do that for each paper, and then I am just going to cut them out. And once that was done, I took my pumpkin and I painted the ends of it with my Waverly chalk paint in the color pumpkin, the middle with that night sky, and then I did the stem with the antique wax. Then I'm taking my, what is that? Glue stick, Elmer's glue stick, and I am just using that to adhere my paper to the front of my pumpkin here. And I put the blue on one side, and then I'm going to do the orange paper on the other side, just like you see me doing there, adhering it with my Elmer's glue stick. And oh my gosh, look how pretty that is. I just love the way this came out. Then I took this little piece that was on that other page and I'm just cutting it down. And once I had it cut down, I looked through my stash and found a little square wood piece. I think this came from Dollar Tree. And I just painted the edges like you see with that night sky. And then I'm just going to use my glue stick here to go all over the front and the sides of my little wood piece, and then I'm going to add that little piece that I cut out right on top, just like you see me doing. Oops, I realized I had it on the wrong way. So once I was done with that, I took some hot glue and I'm just decided to use some of this jute cord that I have in my Amazon store if you're interested, and I am just going to go all the way around my little picture here. I wanted it to look like it was framed, so I decided to just go ahead and use that. And then I took my Type Bond glue. It's a multi-purpose glue, and look, I went a little crazy with it. I realized, oop, my side's not going to go all the way down, that far down on my pumpkin, so I took a baby wipe and just kind of wiped off the excess there. Then I'm going to take some hot glue here, and I'm going to add that to the pumpkin as well, and then add my sign to it. Then I took this braided jute ribbon and I'm just going to hot glue it all the way around the inner part of my pizza pan. And once I have that all done, now if you see right where that top area, it kind of looks messy with that paint. It's because my paint bubbled up on me when I was drying it and it just looked nasty, but that's okay because I kind of cover it up with a bow. So I took my half beads, I placed them out on some painter's tape to hold them down, and then I'm painting them with my pumpkin color, and there was about 40 half beads there. Then I took this Type Bond glue again and my hot glue and put it on the back of my pumpkin and laid that onto my pan. Then I took these beads and I'm taking that little compass just to kind of help me have the same amount of space between them, and I'm just gonna go with my Beacon Fabri-Tac glue and I'm just adding those to my pan. Then I took some hot glue and added this bow to my pumpkin, and I'll show you in a little bit how I made it. And then I just added a hanger to the back with some jute twine and my hot glue, and there it is. I absolutely love how this came out. I think it is so pretty. You'll have to let me know what you think about this in the comment box below. Oh, it's just so pretty. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. DIY number 2. So for this DIY, I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paint in the color Plaster. I'm going to use some burlap from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use some of this material that I got, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, from Hobby Lobby, but I'm just going to use a piece of it. I'm just going to use that one right there that says Autumn Blessings. I'm going to use some pool noodle. I cut down a pool noodle and then cut it in half, made 4 little pieces there. I'm going to use some of these pumpkins that I got in a little bag of pumpkins from Walmart just recently. And then this is some floral moss that I got from Dollar Tree. And then one of these flower tins, I'm not sure what you call them, from Dollar Tree. And then one of these candlesticks from Dollar Tree. So I'm going to start off again by sanding this, what do you call these? I can't even think what you call it, but this container. And then I wiped it off real good and I painted both that and the candlestick with my plaster color, Once they were all dry, I'm taking my folk art acrylic paint in the color True Burgundy, and I'm just going to go around the top edge and the bottom edge of my tin piece here. And then I also did this on that candlestick as well. And I love how this came out, you guys. And once those were dry, I took some hot glue in my burlap here, and I am just going to hot glue this all the way around my tin. Now, there was some rules with this playlist, and we had some things that we had to do or couldn't do. One of them, we had to use at least one thing that was not wood. We had to make something that didn't have a napkin. We had to use a non-Dollar Tree item, and then we had to use something other than Mod Podge for an adhesive. So it was kind of a fun little challenge. It gave us some different things to do other than just your normal decoupaging, but I really enjoyed it, and I love how these came out. So I'm going to take my Mod Podge that's for fabric. It's very, very thick. And I'm using that to add to that burlap. And I knew it was going to go through the burlap onto that tin piece, which is fine because I wanted to make sure that the burlap stuck to that as well. Once I had that all on, then I'm just going to put a coat of that Mod Podge over the top of my little material piece that I had cut out. After that, I took some E6000 and hot glue, and I'm going to add my little candlestick to the bottom. If you can see, I did kind of draw out where to place it because I always have such a hard time getting it centered, and I think this looked pretty centered. So after that, I took some hot glue, and I am just gluing these little foam pieces inside of my planter. I think that's what it is. And then I'm adding some of that floral moss around just to kind of help cover the foam pieces there. And then I just start hot gluing the pumpkins in, just like you see me doing right here. And once I had those all done, I decided, okay, I want to add some flowers and floral stuff to it. So I have one of these picks that I got from Dollar Tree. It's just beautiful. Kathy Jo with Kathy Jo DIY was showing me that she had these and she needed more. So I was going out shopping and she said, hey, if you see any, will you pick some up for me? And I did. I found some. So I grabbed some for her and I thought, these are so pretty. I'm going to use some for myself. So I grabbed some and I just cut it apart like you saw and added it to my basket here. And then I took some of these, oh my gosh, why can't I think of what they're called? The pampas grass, right? Faux pampas grass. Anyways, I added that to it. I added some leaves, some more regular sunflowers. And some burgundy leaves. I just kind of went around and added what I liked, and there it is. I love how this came out. It's a nice little centerpiece or shelf sitter. You have to say that really careful. I don't know. I just love it. You have to let me know what you think about it in the comment box below. Okay, here's DIY number 1. So for this DIY, I'm going to use this beautiful napkin I got from decoupagenapkin.com. I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paint in the color Cashew and this Deco Art Matte Metallics in the color Gold. I got that from Hobby Lobby. And then this Deco Art Metallic Rich Espresso. I'm going to use this palette acorn from Dollar Tree and then this sign from Dollar Tree. But if you don't have this sign, you can use any that will fit that acorn that you may have if you recreate this. So I started off by painting the inside of that sign with my cashew. Once it was dry, I covered it with my Mod Podge, and then after I had that all on there, I set it aside to dry. While it was drying, I took some spackling here from Dollar Tree, and I am just filling in those little holes. And then I painted the two ends with my cashew, the next to the ends with the gold, and then the one middle strip and the stem with that rich espresso. Then I took my napkin here, I cut it down to size, I removed the two plies behind it, and then I just kind of scored with my fingers a little bit more of that so I could cut it down to fit inside. Then I am taking my parchment paper. This is regular parchment paper you use in your kitchen, and my little heat press, and you can use an iron without any steam if you don't have a heat press. And I'm just going around and reactivating that Mod Podge so the napkin sticks. After that, I took my Mod Podge and I just covered the top part of my napkin so that way it protects that napkin and keeps it from ripping. Then I took some of my braided jute cord I get from Amazon. It is in my Amazon store if you're interested in it, and I just hot glued it all the way around the frame. Then I took some of my Beacon Fabri-Tac glue. I'm putting it on the back of my acorn here, and then I'm going to add some hot glue on the ends of that. That's for permanent and immediate hold there. And then I'm just going to place it right in the middle of my sign. I took some of this webbed ribbon you get from Dollar Tree. I'm using the cream color and the brown, and I'm just going to scrunch them up in the middle and just kind of form X's. And then I'm going to tie some twine around it. And I do end up cutting those down. I felt like they were just a little bit too long. And then after that, I took some leaves. I had some just regular fall leaves, but I also had some silver dollar leaves that I found at Dollar Tree. And I put a little bit of the gold in there, and then I just put a little bit of the orange fall leaves. And then I'm just going to add some of my sunflowers from Dollar Tree as well. This paper has just a little touches of orange on, or not the paper, the napkin, on the acorn. So that's why I put a little orange to kind of help bring that out. And plus, I just felt like it needed a little bit more color, not so much browns. And so here I am just going to, I use twine to tie around those leaves to tie them in place. And then with the sunflowers, I'm just cutting off that little part on the bottom, and then I'm using hot glue to just hot glue them. And that's all there was for this one. Nope, I'm lying. I took one of these tags from Hobby Lobby, and I just kind of put the string around the flowers and then did a little hot glue there to keep it in place. And there it is. I think it's so pretty. I love that napkin. It's just gorgeous. You have to let me know what you think about this in the comment box below. Here's DIY number 4. So for this DIY, I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paint in the color Cashew, and then again that Rich Espresso by Decor Art. I think it's Dazzling Metallics. And then this Colonial color, this is by Decor Art. It's Americano Decor Chalk Finish. Then I'm going to use this self-adhesive stencil that I just got at Dollar Tree. One of these wood bless signs from Dollar Tree. It comes in the, I was a 4-pack of words or something. Another one of these acorns from Woodpecker Crafts, and then this charger from Dollar Tree. I'm going to start off by sanding each little groove on this charger. By the way, I am an affiliate with Woodpecker's Craft, so if you're interested, I do have a link in my description box. Check them out, and if you buy anything, I do get a little something back from them if you use my link. So after I had it all sanded and wiped off, I took my Rich Espresso here and I went on every third little crevice there and painted it. Now I did have to end up doing 2 coats of this because that metallic finish is a little translucent, so I did have to go over it a second time. But then after that, I went the groove next to it, I covered each one with my Cashew, and I forgot to hit record when I did that, so I figured I'd just tell you. Then I left the third one blue. Then I taped off my acorn and I painted the top with the Cashew and the bottom with that Rich Espresso. I was going to paint the stem, but I kind of forgot, and you'll see that in a little bit. So I'm taking this stencil. Now, this is very, very thin, much thinner than Chalk Couture's transfers. So I was trying to be very careful with it because I felt like it would rip really easy. So I took some of my painter's tape there and taped it off where I didn't want my paint to go. And I'm just taking that chalk, the Cashew color, and I'm dabbing it all around my stencil here on the bottom half. Now I originally was going to do both bottom and top, but I just really loved how this looked just on the bottom, because I was going to do the darker color on the top, and I really liked the top part of it being blank. But once I was done, I removed my tape very carefully, because there's some really small pieces like in the leaves and in the sunflowers and stuff that I was really worried that would be ripped off. And then I took this off, and then I wiped it off with a baby wipe. And I do have to say that when I was wiping it, some of those pieces kind of got a little tweaked. So you do want to be really careful with that kind of transfer. I don't think it's going to last very long. I might get a couple more uses out of it. As you can see, I used my blue color there on that blessed sign. And then I took my E6000, I'm putting it all around the middle of my acorn. And this is where I realized I forgot to paint the little stem. So before I added it on, because I knew if I glued this onto the charger, I would get paint on the charger. So I just went ahead and took a small brush and very carefully painted the stem, just the front and the sides. And then I'm going to finish adding some hot glue and gluing that in place. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, wait a minute, I forgot to paint that. Oh my goodness. So there it is. I just think that's so cute. Anyways, I took some of this lace ribbon, no, burlap and lace ribbon. I don't know what you call it, but it's ribbon from Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to go around and hot glue this around the charger. Now, after I got done with this, I thought, this just doesn't look very fallish. And I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm so used to seeing like fall color ribbons and all that stuff. So after I had this on, I thought, okay, I've got to do something else to make it look a little more fall. So before I did that, I took some more of that ribbon and I just made a bow by doing the awareness ribbon, scrunching it up in the middle, taking some twine and tightening it in the middle to keep it scrunched. And then I am going to cut the ends of the ribbon at an angle. And then I'm going to hot glue that right in front of the stem. And then this is where I thought, okay, I need a little more color. So I took some of these orange leaves. These were just, I think that one might have been from Dollar Tree. The other one is from my stash of leaves from Amazon. I'm going to hot glue them in place here. This one I realized, I got a little too close to the word blessed. So I'm trying to hot glue the leaf so it doesn't cover the word. And then I add the other one here. And then the little flower is like a paper flower from Hobby Lobby. They have them this time of year. They're like little, what is that? Not marigold. Maybe it is a marigold. I don't know what it is. I'm not good with flowers, you guys. But anyways, I liked the color with it, so I just glued it on, and there it is. You could always hang this up if you wanted. I thought this would be a nice little shelf sitter, so I just had that little plate holder to hold it. But you have to let me know what you think about this one as well. And then the final reveal is coming right up, so you have to let me know which one was your Okay, here's DIY number 1. So for this DIY, I'm going to use 2 of these 30 millimeter half beads I got from Amazon. These little bow tie sticks from Hobby Lobby. I'm going to use just some leaves off of this pick, and then one of these floral wire pieces that I got from, I believe, Walmart. And then this sign, actually, you guys, I got this sign at Dollar Tree. It was 50 cents. I couldn't believe it. Anyways, my antique wax and Waverly chalk paint in the color white and in the color maize. So I'm going to start off by painting the front and the back of this tag sign with my white. And then I took these little bow tie sticks and I'm just cutting them in half with my miter shears here. You can use scissors too. They are thin enough to cut with scissors. And I'm sorry, I think I did maybe 25 of them. I don't remember how many for sure. Maybe it was more. But then once I had them all cut, I did lay them on some painter's tape and then painted them with my maize color. Then I took my half beads and I just covered them with my antique wax. And then here I'm just kind of placing them where I want to be. Now, if you can see, I'm actually putting these on the front. I was totally going to put this on the back of it. And then after I had them glued on, I realized, oh my goodness, it's on the front, but it still looks good. You can't see that octopus that was on it before. I've painted these before and you could still see the octopus, so I was really glad I couldn't see it. But anyways, I took my wood glue and hot glue, put it on the back of the half bead, stuck it in the middle, and then I'm just going to again use wood glue and hot glue to glue those little sticks all the way around my half bead, just like you see me doing right there. Then I took another row of them, and I'm doing the same thing with both glues, and I'm just laying them on top right in between the opening of each one of those to make it look more like a sunflower. And you can see there where I have them all on my painter's tape when I painted them. That just makes it so much easier. And then after that, I did the same thing for a second one, and then I took this floral wire, cut it to the size I needed, added some hot glue and glued it down to the front, and then I'm just gluing the leaves in place like you see me doing right there. I probably should have just done one of these and then maybe put a saying, because it is kind of tight on space there. That's why I was putting the leaves way down where they were. But I still like the way this turned out. But I did the same thing with the smaller flower. Now I'm taking some buffalo check ribbon, and I'm just gluing a little bit to the back, and then I'm just kind of tacking it down so that it goes right over the edge of those stems. And then I'm just going to glue the other end to the back as well. Now I know I'm going to add some sunflower ribbon, and I know you can't really see the buffalo check, but I just liked how it was black around the edges above and below that sunflower ribbon, and I really liked that way that looked. So I'm taking my antique wax here. Of course, I had to give it a little distressing. I think this just gave it a lot more character, brought it to life a lot more. So I'm just going around all of those petals with my antique wax, and then after I was done with that, I just did a little light distressing all the way around my sign, because for me it was just too white and I just felt like it needed some distressing. Now again, if you don't like distressing and want to make something like this, make it your own. You don't have to do the distressing, but I like the distressing, and it just makes it look a little more rustic, and I really like that. So once I was done with that, then I'm going to take some of that that buffalo check ribbon, and I'm just I cut it down, I'm gluing the ends together, and then I just move that to the back for a hanger, and there it is. I love how this came out. It was so much fun to do. You have to let me know what you think about this in the comment box below. DIY number 4. So for this DIY, I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paint in the color white. I'm going to use some of my Arteza paint markers. These are some sunflowers from Dollar Tree, and these are blocks from Five Below. I love them because they're big. And then I got this sign last fall at Family Dollar. So I'm going to start off by painting the blocks and that sign white, and I painted the front and the back, everything white. Once I was done with it and it was all dry, I took my Arteza paint marker, and I'm just coloring in all the leaves with the green here, just like you see. Now, it was kind of hard to tell which ones were leaves and which ones were part of the flowers, but I wasn't too worried because I'm going to cover those flowers up. Then I thought, okay, I want to paint those flowers, so I took this gold marker because I didn't want bright yellow, and I colored them in thinking it might blend in well, and then I hot glued the sunflowers in between them, and I just thought, no, I see too much of the gold, so I added a couple more sunflowers. I thought that would help kind of cover it in a little bit more, plus I liked having the 5 there, but I could still see tips of that gold, so I took my one of my orange Arteza pen markers, and I colored in those tips that I could see, and it really helped blend in a lot better. And then because these flowers are a lot more orange than they are yellow, I took my Decor Americana Spiced Pumpkin acrylic paint, and I am just going to paint over the blessed word. And no matter how hard I tried, I was getting it all over my white sign. So I did go back later when I was all done and touched up all the paint marks. Then I also took my paint and went around the edge of the frame, and as you can see, I got paint on my white. I knew that was going to happen. Anyways, I went ahead with the same thing here. It just gives it, for me, adding this twine here just seems to give it a little more dimension, a little more of a farmhouse country look. I don't know. I just love it. So that's what I do. Then I was going to put a bow on there, but I decided not to. I took some of this raffia. I'm going to tie a knot right in the middle, just like you see. And then I'm going to hot glue this in the middle top part of my sign. And I originally was going to add this here and then put the bow on it, but I didn't like the way that looked. And instead, I took another one of those sunflowers and put it right on the top where that was tied in a knot, and then I trimmed off that raffia so that it looked a little nicer. Then I took my tumbling tower blocks, or my big blocks from Five Below. I put some wood glue and hot glue and glued them in place. It wasn't enough to get it to stand, so I added 3 more. I got 3 more out, painted them, and then I'm adding the wood glue and the hot glue, and then added them to the back, and then it stood much better. Now, I don't know why I did it the way I did. Normally I put them together and then add them, but yeah, it still worked. But anyways, I love this sign too. I think it's beautiful. You have to let me know what you think about this one as well, and which one was your favorite today, and if you will be recreating any. I'd love to know. Okay, here's DIY number 3. I told you guys, whimsical. Oh, this one is so funny. Okay, I'm going to use this decal I created off my Cricut. I'm going to use one of these giant craft sticks from Walmart. I'm also going to use my Waverly chalk paint in the color Truffle and Maize. I'm also going to use ink and crimson. And then I'm going to use one of these mason jar wood cutouts. I believe I got these off of Amazon. So I started off by painting the craft stick with my ink and the top part of my mason jar with ink, and then the bottom part with truffle. And I did this front and back. Once they were all dry, I am using my pencil here to kind of draw out the face. I know it's hard for you to see. I could barely see it myself, but I cannot draw freehand on my own. I really can't. So I did get something off Pinterest that I saw that I thought was great. It was this turkey face thing, but it was on a different, I don't know, boards or something. But I thought, okay, I'm going to trace this face out on my little mason jar here. So I don't know what they call that red part on a turkey. Does anyone know? If you do, let me know in the comment box. But that's what that red part was. And then I'm just using my maize here to paint out the beak. I had to change out to a really small brush there so I could get close to the red without, going over it. So then I'm going to start over on the other side of the beak and get that all painted in here too. You'll see that in just a sec. And yeah, it's a big beak, huh? Once I have this all painted, then I dried it, and then I took a white paint marker and I'm making the eyes. But after I make them, look how crooked they are. Like I said, I'm not good at freehand. So I decided to start painting in the middle of the eyes there, but it just wasn't turning out. It was kind of I don't know if my pin's drying out or what. So I decided to just go ahead and get my white paint and a paintbrush, and I just ended up painting it in. And yeah, that one it's not very round, huh? It's got some flat spots. Oh my goodness. I should have found something to trace really, but oh well, it is what it is, right? It makes it more whimsical and fun. So after I had the eyes all painted in, I put one little dot here by that red thing, and then I took my black marker and I'm just painting the eyeballs of the turkey on the top part of the eyes, trying to make these a little more even too, but it's kind of hard when the white part is not very even itself, but it's fun. So once I have this all colored and painted in, then I'm going to take my, I'm still taking the black. I'm trying to make some eyelashes. It's really hard to see those eyelashes against that brown. I probably should have used the thicker side of my marker. But here I'm trying to make the little lines on the beak of the turkey. And my pen was not wanting to work because, I don't know. anyways, okay, so I took a different marker. This is my Arteza paint marker. It's one of the blue colors. I don't remember the color. Just going to color in underneath his eyeball. And again, I'm not doing this freehand. I am copying something off of Pinterest because I cannot do this kind of stuff myself. But, you know, I think the more I copy, the more I'll learn and the more I'll figure it out on my own, right? So once I had that all colored in, I took my white marker here and made a little dot in there for the pupil, and then just kind of made a few little light dots on his eyes. After that, I took my decal and I'm putting it onto my craft stick here. And then I'm going to use, again, my Titan. What is that? Yeah, is it Tight Bond? No, what is it? Yeah, Tight Bond. I don't know why I'm... anyways, okay, Tight Bond and hot glue. And I put that on the back of my craft stick and added it to my mason jar. And then I took my maze here and I'm just going to paint kind of like that little buckle that you see like on a pilgrim. I guess this is a little pilgrim turkey dude. I don't know. Oh my goodness, but I think he's so cute. I think it's fun and whimsical, which is what I was going for. And I'll tell you guys, I was started 2 other projects and decided I just did not want to do. Like I said, I'm getting tired of fall and they were just, I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it. I really wanted something whimsical. So I quickly scrapped those ideas and started something new. So here I'm just making him a little bow tie. I took this ribbon, hot glued the ends together and then scrunched them in the middle and took some twine to keep it scrunched. And then I'm just going to hot glue this down by his neck so this little turkey has a bow tie. And then once I have him this hot glued, I'm just going to kind of hot glue the ends of the bows there to keep them down. Then I took my big mouth crocodile and I'm making some holes so that I can add a hanger, and then I'm just going to add some jute twine for a hanger. And that's really all there was for this cute little whimsical turkey. And there he is. You have to let me know what you think about him as well. Oh my gosh, I think he's adorable. So for this DIY, I'm going to take my Waverly chalk paint in the color plaster. I'm going to use one of these little hanging pie signs from Dollar Tree. I got this last year. I've already used the other one, I guess. I'm going to use another decal I created with my Cricut. And then this is some vinyl from Hobby Lobby. I got it last year at fall on the, it was in the fall section. And then this charcuterie board from Walmart. I got this spring for like $5. Oh my goodness. I don't know what's wrong with me tonight, guys. Okay, so I'm going to start off by taping this down to where I was going to paint it. Do you see how my tape just did not want to stick on this board? There had to be something on this board that made it not want to stick. But I did paint the top part of it with that plaster color. And then once I had it all dry, I'm taking my decal that I created and I'm just going to lay it on the white part of my cutting board. I'm going to call it a cutting board, okay? Charcuterie board. There. And then after that, I took my vinyl here and I am just cutting it down so that it fits onto the bottom part of this charcuterie board. There we go. Maybe if I say it enough times, I won't have to think about it. And then, so here I'm just trying to take the backing off of it. I'm going to lay it down. I'm going to try to do this really straight, but yeah, no, it wasn't straight. But I did get it straight. So see how careful I was trying to be. But I ended up lifting it. But I got it straight there. There we go. So once I had this all on there, then I'm going to take that little pie. I was really looking for, I had another like slice of pumpkin pie that I got off of one of their signs here a few weeks ago, and I cannot find it for the life of me. Oh, so anyway, so I use this one instead, and I'm going to use my Tite Bond glue again. This is the multi-purpose glue, and then my hot glue. And I'm going to add this to the front of my charcuterie board. And then after that, I took this, some twine. I'm just going to put a little dab of hot glue on the back and just wrap it. Sorry, it's not in frame, but I don't know how many times I wrapped it. I just kept wrapping it until I liked what I saw, until I was happy with how the length of it, I guess. And then I'm just going to hot glue it to the back of that as well. You'll see that here in just a moment. Man, I was really struggling. It's because I was trying to hurry up and get this done since I changed my mind and started doing new projects. Then I just made another finger bow like the one previously and hot glued it in the middle of that twine, trimmed it off, and I did not put anything on the back for it to stand. I wanted it to lean, but if you could always add some tumbling tower blocks on the back of it for it to stand. But there it is. I love it. I think it's really cute. You have to let me know what you think about this one as well. And the final reveal is one. So I'm going to use some of these 3-inch wood rounds that I got from Amazon, some decals I created with my Cricut. I am also going to use this Folk Art Coffee Latte acrylic paint, my Waverly chalk paints in the colors white, pumpkin, crimson, and truffle. And then I'm going to use this really nice size cup, wood cup that I got from Woodpecker's Craft. So I started off by painting one side of that cup, truffle and the coffee latte and those circles with the white. Once they were done, I took the truffle here in a small paintbrush and I'm just drawing lines across the top here where it's painted the coffee latte. I also did this on the bottom because I painted the bottom part with the coffee latte. And you guys, I have this really sped up. This shows how slow I'm going just because yeah, I don't always make the straightest lines, so I was trying to be careful. So once those were dry, I took my orange and another small paintbrush and I'm going in diagonal opposite of the brown lines that I just did. And I'm just gonna go, I don't know what I'm doing here. I think I was kind of thinking it over, trying to think, okay, am I doing this? Is it going to look good? I don't know. Anyways, once I did the top and the bottom again. Once those were dry, I took some white and another small paintbrush, and I am just going opposite of the orange, just like you see. And then, and again, I do this on top and bottom, and then I went opposite direction that I just went with that white, just like you see. After that, I took my black Sharpie marker and I'm just drawing lines across this. This is like the sleeve of the cup. And then I painted, I don't know why I'm showing you this again, but I painted those white. Then I took my decals and I am just adding on the one white circle, I'm adding pumpkin spice. And then I'm going to add Happy Season to the cup. And then after that, I'm going to use my Tite Bond glue and hot glue to glue that white. Do you see that? I started to drop it and put my finger right in the glue. So I'm just going to put this or hot glue this onto the middle of my cup. And I don't know about you guys, but I used to love, then I took one of these resin pumpkins and stuck it in the middle. I painted the other side with the truffle, the crimson, and the white. I was going to say I used to absolutely love pumpkin spice. I'm kind of changing my flavor. I mean, I kind of like it, but not really anymore. I don't know. It's weird. Anyways, once this was dry, I took my paintbrush and my white here, and I'm just making little snowflakes all the way across the front, the top and the bottom. Then I took my embossing tool and I just went around the brown and made all kinds of white little polka dots. Once those were dry, I'm taking my decals and it's going to say Merry Season, and then the middle white round says Peppermint Mocha. I love peppermint mocha, especially around Christmas time. And then I'm going to glue that on just like I did on the other side. After that, I took some of these peppermints. I got these last year from Hobby Lobby, and they have a little hole to hang for an ornament. I cut them off and I just glued it right there in the middle. Then I was going to use my Big Mouth Crocodile to make holes, but I could not get it to go all the way through. This wood was too thick, so I ended up using my drill. Then I took some of this ribbon and I made a little bow. I'm going to hot glue it right there. And then I took some of this ribbon. This is, I don't know where I got this. It was in my stash. I'm making another ribbon, doing the awareness ribbon, scrunching it up in the middle, taking some twine and tightening that twine. I'm going to tie a knot in that twine as soon as I have the twine right where I want it. And then trim that off, and then I'm going to dovetail the ends by folding it in half and then cutting at an angle. After that, I am going to I have the ends of the hanger on this side, and I didn't want you to see it, so I'm kind of hiding it with my bow, like you see there. I glued it down, and then I glued this one down, and I took 3 more of those peppermints from Hobby Lobby. These are in the miniature section for the miniature Christmas trees, and I cut all the little hanger parts off, and then I'm just going to glue this all around the other end of that hanger so you don't see it. And you guys, I absolutely adore this project. I love how this came out. Oh, it is my favorite of all the fall DIYs that I've done this year. I think this is my favorite, but you have to let me know what you think about this. Here is the pumpkin spice side, and then here is the peppermint mocha. Oh, I love it. I can't wait to get me a peppermint mocha.